This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily, live from the Hockey for All Center for Winnipeg Jets training camp. Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis. Lots of fans out checking out the activities today. We'll actually have the big boys, line one, part of their group, going out a little later on in the third session of the day. And then, of course, tomorrow, a capacity crowd expected. All the tickets gone for Winnipeg Jet FanFest here at the Hockey for All Center. Should be an awesome day, welcoming Jet fans to kind of officially kick off the season. And, of course, we will be live here today with a bonus edition of WST tomorrow around 11, right after our friends at Illegal Curve finish up their program. They'll get live at 9 a.m. So myself, Remis, Connor, I'm sure a few special guests. Lists will hopefully be around. We'll chop it up for an hour or so with the sights and sounds of FanFest. But if you are coming out, make sure to come pop by and say hi. Always great to connect with so many of our WST viewers and listeners at events like this. So, yeah, tomorrow morning should be a lot of fun here. And right now, business as usual in day number 2 of training camp. We've got a packed show today, and we'll hit tons of the training camp stories. Randy's going to pop by in about 15 minutes. We'll have Murat Ates join us after that. The Hammer, Jeff Hamilton, gets us ready for Bombers Ottawa from the nation's capital. Then we'll talk a little bit more about FanFest and opening weekend with our pal Kyle Ballhary from the Winnipeg Jets. We'll get to an NFL notebook with Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. And then just after 3 p.m., we'll drop the marbles on a marble race and officially kick off the weekend. Listen, just before we welcome Remo in and get going, do want to thank the sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at CoolBet just finished up this morning our WST Winners Week 3 NFL edition with Jake and Pat. Check out the YouTube channel or search WST Winners for the podcast. That is up, ready to go with all our favorite picks and props for the week in the National Football League. Also want to thank Princess Auto and, of course, HSC Millionaire Lottery. Do not forget, folks, we are now a week away from the first early bird deadline. Go to hscmillionaire.com to grab your tickets. We'll tell you more about that and what you can win coming up in a few minutes. Also want to thank Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, Canadian Club, and Manitoba Battery, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, F Apparel, fansfirst.ca, Little Brown Jug, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Breezy Bend, our friends at Assiniboia Downs, and we will get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Let's get Remo in here and get this show on the road. Nice crowd today, but this is just a small sampling of the chaos that will be down here at Hockey for All Center tomorrow for the big FanFest.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out for day 1 of training camp. Day 2, not as many, but they are getting set up for FanFest. People are here getting autographs, taking pictures. The feeling of the season opening, a new beginning, still in the air here. It feels good. Yeah, no, and I wouldn't be surprised if there actually is a few more people coming here over the course of this afternoon with, of course, Scheifele and Connor and Gabe Ballharry, amongst others, going out on this late group today. Tomorrow, there will be a scrimmage for everyone. I mean, the FanFest, if you haven't been to it before, great event.
I'm going to get here early to try and get some good deals. The last couple years, we've really struck gold in the pro shop sale to kick things off.
I did see them putting out on social media some of the items. You see this bobblehead, this Solani bobblehead of him shooting the glove in the air. I'd never seen this one. It was crazy. Oh my God, I almost DM'd it to you. I'm like, they put this thing in the bobblehead Hall of Fame. Let me just grab it up. Anyways.
I want to go to the bobblehead Hall of Fame. Do we know where that is?
It's a real thing, for
I know
sure.
It is. We're going to put our own WST, our Winnipeg Sports Talk bobblehead Hall of Fame.
I have a bobblehead of myself. A friend gave it to me as a groomsman in his wedding. He got everyone bobbleheads. I'm at the WST desk in it.
Nicely
it's pretty
done.
crazy.
I got one too. My brother got me one. Oh yeah, there it is. Solani. That is unreal.
Here, I'll just pull it up on the stream so everyone can see what we're looking at here.
$24.99 tomorrow.
Yeah, check this thing out. That thing is cool.
I'll be picking up one of those. I will definitely be picking up an old Teemu Solani.
That's like a must-have for Jets fans. That's so cool.
No. Anyways, there'll be all sorts of cool stuff here that you can pick up. They'll have deals on food. I think the last couple of years, I don't know for sure, but they were always doing the jumbo jet dogs for $5. Those were popular. Everyone crushing those things at like 10 in the morning too.
They sell out so fast to those jet dogs. Not like a breakfast jet dog.
Listen, we're going to get to a little bit more from the Jets, but right off the bat, we should get to some Bomber news. Chris Streveler getting the start for the Bombers tomorrow in Ottawa, and Ottawa getting some help exactly when they need it. Finally, Drew Brown coming back, and it's probably not what Blue Bomber fans wanted to hear. Although, hell, we know that Dustin Crumbs had some success against the Bombers in the past. But Bombers have their work cut out for them. I mean, this is simple. It don't need to be pretty. They just need to find a way to get it done, because with where the BC Lions are at right now in the standings and the Edmonton Elks, I mean, this is a precarious position right now, and certainly we know that the offense has been certainly challenged without Zach Caleros in. I have a feeling this is going to need to be a game where the defense really steps up, continues to build on their performances of the past month or so, and the bottom line is Chris Streveler needs to take care of the football. It has been pretty simple. Interceptions, turnovers have been absolutely killing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and Streveler has had some moments. He's driven the field, but it has been the mistakes that have been absolutely devastating when they've lost games when he's been in.
Yeah, you think he's about to make a play by rolling out and, it throws it into coverage and it gets picked off. And, the two interceptions last game didn't help them. One took it right down to the goal line, and that's been the difference the last couple of games. The turnovers. I think the defense has played well. You're holding Trevor Harris, Bo Levi Mitchell, two of the premier quarterbacks in the CFL, to under 300 yards. Last game it was Greg Bell and the run game that really ran all over them. But they've limited the deep plays, and I think if they protect the football and don't turn it over, they'll put themselves in position to win. But they have struggled when they do have the ball, getting big yardages, having long drives, and settling for field goals instead of touchdowns. And when Streveler did win that game against Ottawa at home earlier this year, they were really helped by defensive touchdown, a couple return touchdowns.
That was a Toronto game.
It was that Toronto. They're going to need help, I think, in that area as well. It's going to be a three-phase game, not just the offense, but protecting the football, the big key. They can't turn it over, especially a couple times before the half. That has just killed them. When you think they're about to get some points, it's going the other way. Not ideal, and they know that. But I think the defense has really improved. We'll see. I think scoring points is going to be tough. Maybe Brady, a lot more on his shoulders.
A lot of Brady tomorrow afternoon.
And not just running the ball. Like the dump offs and letting him get yardage has been absolutely huge. So don't force anything. Easier said than done, as we've seen.
One of the things I'm sure we'll be talking to people about here tomorrow, and we will officially launch and open tomorrow. We've had lots of questions about it. Our Winnipeg Sports Talk games are back for 2025-26. We've got 6 games. You want to write these down for people that were wondering what the games are going to be? Here they are. Now, we've gotten a limited number of tickets for the home opener. But, man, with the banners going up and Jonathan Taves, the kickoff to the season, really appreciate the Jets finding some seats. They might not be as together as they've normally been, but we will have seats, probably 30 or so. And what we'll be doing, by the way, as soon as it's live, is sending out a notice to everybody on our mailing list. So if you want to make sure that you can get your hands on those home opener tickets when they are available, before they're gone, make sure you're signed up to the mailing list. And we will maybe throw that in, throw the link right now to make sure you're on it. Just will give you a heads up on some other things. Of course, we've got a poker tourney happening next Wednesday. Just a lot of the sights and sounds and things that are happening around WST. You'll find out first with the mailing list. But we've got Thursday, October 9th against the Dallas Stars, the home opener. Next game is the return of Nikolai Ehlers, Friday, November 21st against the Hurricanes. Friday, January 9th versus the Kings. Après ski night. Remis is going to have a good costume for that. I think they're giving away ski goggles to the first 5,000 fans for that game. And we've got the Habs on Wednesday, February 4th. That's the last game before the Olympic break. And then on the other side of the Olympic break, 2 great games. Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday, March 5th. And Saturday, April 11th against the Philadelphia Flyers. So we'll have more details. The link will be live next week. But for everyone that's been asking about when the games are, those are the 6 games, and we'll go live with the home opener tickets next week, so hopefully you can join us for that. Listen, Sean Reynolds is going to join us in just a couple minutes, but let's get to a couple things that kind of came out of the last 24 hours in camp. I'm going to hear from Cole Perfetti in just a minute. But as we mentioned, Mark Scheifele spoke yesterday and thanked everyone for the outpouring of support coming out of the playoffs after the tragic passing of his father and his courageous effort in Game 6, but just asked that moving forward, keep it to hockey, which obviously was respected by all members of the media. But Scheifele was asked about having Jonathan Toews as part of the club and told a very, very interesting story yesterday about meeting Jonathan Toews early in his career. Here's what he had to say about that.
Oh, for sure I did. I actually brought up this story to him the other day at dinner. I was like, do you remember having dinner with me when I was 18 years old? And he was like, you know what? A buddy brought that up to me actually the other day. And I was like, yeah, we had dinner together. I was roommates with Andrew Ladd. And he was like, hey, do you want to come to dinner with me and Buff? And I was like 18 at the time. It was my first road trip. I was like, yeah, of course. And I show up and it's Taser and Duncan Keith, Marian Hossa, and Brent Seabrook. And I was like, I nearly crapped my pants. But I brought that up to him the other day, and he was like, someone actually did bring that up to me the other day. So it's kind of cool to relive that story. It was a pretty unbelievable night for me. I was absolutely terrible the next night too. I was in awe of all the guys I was playing against that I just had dinner with. But it's kind of cool that it kind of humbles you and brings you back to what it was like when I was 18.
They didn't stick you with the bill, did they?
No, they definitely did not. If they did that, I would have had to get a loan. But no, it was awesome.
Were you able to sort of be brave enough to speak, or in a room like that?
Oh no, I did not say one word. It was absolute, and I like to talk too. So it was complete silence for the entire dinner. But I was just trying to soak it all in, and still remember Seabrook tapping me on the shin pads in warm up, and I was like, oh my goodness, where am I?
All right, there's Mark Scheifele. What a cool story that was about Scheifele as an 18-year-old getting to meet his new teammate for the first time. Now, this is going to date many of us, but Cole Perfetti, a little younger than most of us, and certainly the Mark Scheifele, talked about his first Jonathan Toews memory yesterday. Who get a kick out of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I was probably, 2000, when he came in the league, 2007, 2008? So I was 5 or 6. I think my real first memory was in the Olympics, 2010. I was 8 years old. So I remember that one. That's kind of when I really started to enjoy his game and really start watching him. And growing up, our family, my sister was a big Chicago fan, big Patrick Kane fan. So I started watching the Blackhawks a lot too, and quickly became a Taser fan. And it's kind of funny how, 15 years later, now you're playing on the same line with them. It's crazy how it comes about. But 8-year-old me probably would have been freaking out that he's playing with one of his favorite players ever. So it's cool. It's just it's pretty surreal that it's comes full circle like that.
Getting a lot of that from Winnipeg Jets, although when you hear 6, 7 years old, it's a bit of a reality check for those of us that have been following this team for a while. Listen, Sean Reynolds is going to join us in just a minute, but as I mentioned off the top of the show, folks, the HSC Millionaire Lottery is going to change somebody's life this year, and it's going to do it all in support of Manitoba's hospital, the Health Sciences Center. Now, next Thursday at midnight is the deadline on the first early bird draw, including a fall bonus worth $48,000. You're going to have a couple winners of $1,000 in gas and groceries, $40,000 cash, or a 2026 RAV4 XLE all-wheel drive valued over $46K, a $40,000 Indigno travel voucher plus $5,000 cash, or just straight up $40K. What you're going to need to do, gang, is get those purchases in at hscmillionaire.com before midnight Thursday, September 25th. And I mean, listen, there's a super bonus coming up with the deadline of the October 9th, but if you're going to get the ticket, you may as well do it ASAP to get in for all of the incredible draws. There'll be another one for $55,000 cash a little later on, more travel vouchers. We've got the Grey Cup bonus coming up this year, and then, of course, the grand prizes, which will be your choice of one of 5 different $1.5 million home packages, 4 here in the greater Winnipeg area, 1 out on Vancouver Island, or show me the money, $1.25 million tax-free cash to change your life. Of course, it's all in support of the HSC Health Sciences Center, downtown, Manitoba's hospital. Do not wait, folks. Thursday night at midnight, the first early bird deadline. Get them in before then. hscmillionaire.com. You can also pop by if you want to do it in person at your local London Drugs or your local Red River Co-op location. But again, the website for all the information, check out the amazing prizes, and count yourself in support of the HSC is hscmillionaire.com. Got to thank our friends at Rolly's Transfer for their great support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Folks, if you are on the move coming up in the fall or winter, you want to make sure that you're getting the white glove treatment from the experts in moving. For over 60 years, family owned and operated right here in the Peg of Rolly's Transfer. Check out their website at rollys.com. You can click on Request an Estimate in the top right corner. Make sure to put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. And, of course, then just let them know when and where you're planning on moving, what needs to go. And the friendly staff at Rolly's will turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they are famous for, now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's. Check them out today and request an estimate at rollys.com. And, hey, it's Friday afternoon. I know it's all smiles over at St. Vital Dental Center. We might even have a few WSTers popping in so they can get their grill taken care of by Dr. Terry while watching themselves in the marble race. Always a big day. Of course, the folks at St. Vital Dental Center, great supporters of ours. And listen, they've been taking care of generations of Winnipeggers in St. Vital for years. Now they got a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's. Convenient free parking in the back, behind the building. State-of-the-art equipment, smiling faces to take care of you. And, of course, they're handling customers and patients from 6 months to 99 plus, with everything from cleansing checkups to things like dental implants. For all your dental needs, or maybe it's been a little while since you've been to the dentist, go see Dr. Terry and the gang. Make an appointment at stvitaldental.ca. All right. The best part about coming on location to do shows like this is getting a chance to see our friends in real life. And guess who's here? It is Sean Reynolds. The brains or the beauty of Kenny and Rennie? You can't claim both.
I can't?
Actually, you can.
We're all about honesty, aren't we, in journalism? So how could if I can't claim both, I can't answer that question. I'm sorry.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing well. You know what? It's always fun to get out here to begin the season. A lot of excitement about the upcoming year. And I will say this, Sean, while it is a more veteran team with high expectations coming off, a massive season, the greatest in franchise history in a number of results, I got to tell you, there is a really interesting feeling around this camp. So much of it has to do with Jonathan Toews, but also some significant questions about how this team follows up a season in which they won the President's Trophy, won their first Central Division title, had arguably the most thrilling playoff win in the franchise's history, and fell just short to a very good Dallas Stars hockey team in the second round. I mean, sometimes you get to this point where the team is good and there's not a lot of big storylines, but that certainly isn't the case for the Winnipeg Jets right now.
No, and I mean, it starts with the loss of Nikolai Ehlers, right, who's a dynamic player who brings a really, really interesting skill set that the Jets have benefited from for years. And you lose that. What's the team going to look like when you lose a player like that? And the way they've decided to try and fix it is one that I find, talking with fans, there's a lot of, there's a lot of consternation in a lot of circles. Age, they've definitely tried to get add experience in here. So you're basically moving that player out, and you're bringing in Jonathan Toews, who, admittedly, on his part, is surrounded by question marks. He doesn't know what his health is going to look like. I think he's done everything to put himself in the best possible spot. And I do think that there's probably a lot of faith there that things will turn out okay, but he knows enough to know, he's been in this league long enough to know that you get into that grind 10, 20 games into the season and you don't know how your body is going to respond. So there's all these question marks. I just take a look at this and I think the consternation about this, I think, is a little more than it should be for a couple of reasons. One, I personally want to go on record and say I think things are going to turn out really good with Jonathan Toews. I think he looks really good here. I think he's a player who knows his own body. I think he's an all-timer. So you're adding that element into it. I personally think, from what I've seen, I think he's going to have a really great season. I think going alongside with Gustav Nyquist is another player who's 2 years removed from the best season of his career, and that the Jets are trying to unlock that. I think they're going about that all the same ways. But just the idea that, as you try to fill the hole left behind by Nikolai Ehlers, if people are worried about Jonathan Toews, not being what they think that he could potentially be, well, then you just go back to Vladislav Namestnikov. I mean, your insurance policy is you go back to what you did last year for the most part, and that the plan you had last year took the team to the President's Trophy. So I think the Jets have done a great job of shooting for the stars here in this. If it works out, it could be absolutely fantastic. And if it didn't work out, as a lot of people are worrying, well, then you just go back to what already worked, and you go back to being a team that relies on what they're going to rely on: defense first, offense created by great defense. The team's locked in on that. All the consternation, all the people who think that things are going to be really different this year, I don't think it's possible for it to be that much different in a negative way, but there's a possibility that it could be great and even better because of the risks that they're taking.
I'll say this. I mean, the bar is incredibly high after you finish at the top of the NHL standings. And I think it is definitely realistic to expect that there'll be some regression from being that number one team overall. To me, the question is, can this team remain competitive at the top of the division and, hang with the Dallases and the Colorados and some upstart teams that are going to look to sort of announce themselves in that competition? And then, of course, can they turn themselves into a team that is more poised for success come playoff time? And that is a question we'll be talking about throughout the regular season, at the deadline, going into the playoffs, assuming they're able to earn an opportunity. But for right now, early on in the season, I mean, you kind of laid it out. I mean, Jonathan Toews, and I'm with you. I'm buying Toews stock right now. I mean,
Me too.
I've said from the get-go when he even entertained this that Jonathan Toews, with his achievements and accomplishments, is not going to go down this road if he doesn't think that he can be a very good version of himself. This isn't a guy that just wants to see if he can play a few NHL games and get back. I mean, there is a purpose to him. He's an incredibly driven individual, and I think he really does feel like there's some unfinished business. And, you know, if he could help do something special with his hometown team, what an incredible end to a Hall of Fame career it would be. Gustav Nyquist, to me, is a real wild card. I mean, I think there's a couple of ways that it could go with him. He'll get the first crack playing probably power play, playing on that second line, and we'll see whether they can get the player from Nashville a couple years ago, or will it be more like the guy that struggled along with the entire Predators team, but also never really found a groove when he went to the Minnesota Wild at the end of the season. But for my money, when we talk about this second line, Sean, and I'm interested in your perspective on this, to me, Nikolai Ehlers was always that guy that was sort of the one that made everything work on line two. To me, that responsibility and opportunity is shifting over to Cole Perfetti right now. And Cole Perfetti's ability to continue to progress and allow his line mates to be the best version of themselves could be one of the more interesting factors that we're talking about on a game-to-game basis early on right now, because Cole is in a spot where there is going to be more expected of him, more asked of him, and I think we all agree that, you know, he's been capable of that. But it's such a unique combination when you're talking about Taves where he's at, Nyquist coming in, and the guy that is the constant in this group is a young player that really just sort of earned that top 6 spot last season with the Jets.
Yeah. Jets are such an interesting team in this regard because, you know, the players that they added in the offseason, it gets them a lot older. And I think that there's a very real possibility that the Jets end up being, on average, the oldest team in the NHL this year.
That's right in the mix.
So they are clearly, a team that's relying on that. So you kind of forget the idea of getting better from within. But there's still some young guys who are candidates for that. We saw Dylan Samberg take his game from, to another level last year, and it had a massive effect on the Winnipeg Jets being a great defensive team, as I think he was maybe their best defensive defenseman. Cole Perfetti is one of the people here that still they have potential to get better from within because he's just getting started here. Now, had a great conversation with him today. Not a conversation, but asked him a question in the scrum about the idea of, he's played with some pretty good players already in his career, right? Like at one time he was on a line with Kyle Connor and Pierre-Luc Dubois, and he's had a little bit of a look with, some other players like Mark Scheifele, and now we see him last year. He's, riding shotgun alongside Nikolai Ehlers, and now all of a sudden he goes, and we heard that great story he told before of, like Jonathan Toews being one of his favorite players ever. Now he gets to play with him and Gustav Nyquist, who, 2 years ago, I thought was when the Winnipeg Jets played the Nashville Predators 2 years ago, I thought half the games we saw them play, he was the best player on the ice. That includes everyone on the Winnipeg Jets team. So you've got this kid and you've got this young man who's had all these opportunities to play with all these different players. What I like about that, he took a big step last year, but he's seen so many different great players in different styles. I kind of like the idea of him being able to figure out how to play with what makes Gustav Nyquist great and what makes playing with Jonathan Toews great. He said that this is clearly going to be a hockey IQ line. That's what you should expect from them. I think Cole Perfetti, you don't come into the league being his size and not being a hockey IQ player. So I think that this fits. I think it's going to work. I like your idea that Cole Perfetti isn't a passenger on this line, but he has the potential to be a driver. That's crazy to say that about two established players like that, one of them being Jonathan Toews. But I think you're right that Cole Perfetti has the potential to now be like, I'm already an established Winnipeg Jet. I've been there to do special things. We saw what he did with the 1.6 seconds goal last year. Still crazy. But I mean, I think it's interesting. I think that second line, again, it's a wild card. It's a question mark right now. But I mean, if you're asking me that question, I'm telling you, I think it's going to work.
Ren, one constant of this club for the last number of years has been the heart and soul of this team. The guy with the C in his chest, Adam Lowry, and he is not here right now. Well, he's here, but he's recovering and getting himself ready for a return at some point in the season. So they begin without the captain. And interested in your thoughts on where Morgan Barron fits and Vlad Nemestikov fit, assuming that the top six is pretty much intact with the big line and the line one, and then Taves and Nyquist and Cole Perfetti. I have been of the opinion that I would love to see Morgan Barron potentially get a little bit of a run in Adam Lowry's spot. It looks like, at least to start off, it's going to be Vlad Nemestikov. And then of course you've got Lowry or Barron, I believe, skating with Koepke and Tanner Pearson right now.
Yeah.
The bottom line is there's some big opportunities available, at least in the short term, with Adam Lowry out. What do you make of that in particular as it pertains to Morgan Barron, considering what he was able to do at the center ice position after getting moved there post-trade deadline?
Well, if I'm thinking of what you are alluding to, you're thinking of Morgan Barron going in and being a version of Adam Lowry, right? And I think that you're thinking along the right lines because same kind of player. That said, Adam Lowry is absolutely elite at doing that. I don't think that you replicate that. And Adam Lowry is the kind of player that whoever he's playing with, Adam Lowry defines that line. Like, even when they had those experiments where they put Nick Ehlers on a line with him, that second line last year to me was defined by Nick Ehlers' speed, but when he was on a line with Adam Lowry, that line is still defined by Adam Lowry and who he is. I don't think Morgan Barron is at a position in his career where he can achieve that. So in the meantime, I see what the Winnipeg Jets are doing is Vladislav Nemestikov spent some time with Alex Iafallo last year. He's the guy who jumped up into the breach and has that offensive position. So I think while Adam Lowry is gone, what they're going to do is they're not trying to replicate what Adam Lowry did. They're taking what Nino Niederreiter does, which is the ability to grind with Adam Lowry and be offensive, but he's also has the ability to be offensive and step away from that grind style of game. Vladislav Nemestikov was on that second line last year, was really important in key moments for the Jets and jumping up. And Alex Iafallo, we know, can play anything, but he can also score. So what I see them doing is actually taking a tact of having that third line, and instead of them being, like I like to say, the hammer that they bludgeon other teams with it when Adam Lowry is there, I see them in the meantime saying, okay, let's turn this into a little bit of a depth scoring line that, yeah, they can grind, but they're more defensively responsible. We're not going to beat you over the head with them. We're going to play good, sound hockey, and then they're going to get some goals in there. And then let Morgan Barron kind of define the grind on that fourth line and go in that direction. So I honestly, I see the direction they're going with it. I'm not just saying this is the right idea because this is what the Jets are doing. It's what I would have done. Give Morgan Barron a chance to carry a line as the fourth line center rather than asking him to be Adam Lowry and recreate something that I don't think can be recreated.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to be misconstrued. I'm certainly not saying to go in and be Adam Lowry. I guess the point is I was just so impressed with some of the things that we saw from him at center last year. And the one thing that Morgan Barron has that exceeds Adam Lowry, or Nemestikov for that matter, like, he's a big guy, but his speed is absolutely elite. And, I mean, that on its own created some real chances. And listen, I think the fit with Lowry and the guys he was playing made a lot of sense last year. And listen, was it the fastest line? No. But, man, they were tough to play against, in the corners. Adding a player like Barron, if he can do many of the other things that first and foremost you need the center to handle with that extra gear, is something that I would love to see a little bit more. And listen, I mean, we're going to see a bunch of different combos, I'm sure, for the preseason. And the bottom line is all these guys aren't going to be playing, so they'll both be in elevated roles when you're playing with sort of chopped up rosters where you have some younger players and you're playing a couple lines up moving forward. Let me hit you with this, because this is something I think will be a common topic throughout training camp. The blue line has never been more crowded. There are 9 guys on one-way deals, plus Elias Salmonson, who certainly is going to be doing his best to make decisions difficult. How do you view the defensive competition, if you will, for spots? And what do you think the most likely result of it is at the end, because barring any sort of a player move, you're going to have guys that the team has put a lot in and hung around to for a long time, potentially available to anyone in the National Hockey League that wants to make a claim.
Yeah, on waivers. Yeah. I mean, okay, so Kevin Cheveldayoff talked about Elias Solomonson the other day. His task is clearly defined and extremely hard to achieve. He basically needs to go and be so good that he supplants a veteran on this team and makes them available for trade. That's the way I see that. Like he's either on the roster and playing, or he's down on the Moose and playing, because him playing will be the most important thing. So he doesn't make the Winnipeg Jets and sit in the press box. We've seen where that's led in the career of Logan Stanley. We've seen what it's done with Ville Heinola. They're not going to do that, in my estimation, with Elias Solomonson. They want him. They've said it. They've mapped it out. They want him to follow the Dylan Sandberg model, which is you go from the minors and now you're a full-timer in the NHL, and that's the way you stay. So that's what it's going to take from him, is to be in camp and to be so good and so nearly awe-inspiring that you're saying, okay, we need to move one of our defensemen and we need to call another GM and we need to move him to create the space on that roster. Other than that, I take a look. It's clearly defined. You know, like we know what Colin Miller's role is. We know that Fleury seems to have won a position in that top six.
Yeah, they're not signing him in the offseason and complicating this further if they don't believe in him there.
Exactly. So they believe in him there. It's kind of clearly defined, which means that it's coming down to who's going to get waived, and basically that's two of the players that you were talking about that the Jets have kept around for a long time. That would be Ville Heinola and Logan Stanley. So I see, depending on what happens, a lot of times injuries, make it so that these decisions don't necessarily have to be made for a little while. But it comes down to what the Jets find more useful. And I've said this before, once Brendan Dillon went, it became that this team, when they needed to get into the rough stuff, when they needed to defend themselves, Adam Lowry was one of the guys capable of doing that. He shouldn't be doing it all the time. It should be something that you do sparingly, which means you need guys capable of playing that role. In the past, we've been told from this organization, from the GM, from the head coach, Logan Stanley is a guy they feel can play that role. So I think he gets kept around as the guy that if you need to plug someone into the lineup to take care of that business, if you're heading into a game where you think you're going to need that, he's the guy who gets plugged in. To me, Ville Heinola is the odd man out. There's going to be a ton of people because he's the latest. He's the latest Sami Niku. He's the latest Nick Patan. He's the guy that everyone in the fan base thought was going to be a star going forward. It never quite happened. People get frustrated by that. Maybe there's reason for them to be frustrated. You may be frustrated hearing me say that, but to me it's pretty obvious the writing is on the wall. He'll be the guy that if they need to try and send someone down and have the league taking a look at the waivers, it's going to be Ville Heinola, the guy that they're looking at.
Yeah, I think so. Rennie, we're just going to break now, but very quickly, when do you and your big brain partner get back to work on KNR?
We're going to be doing something in the preseason just to kind of get where this team's at, so give everyone our kind of thoughts. Yeah, exactly.
Remember
and then
to use
we'll just
StreamYard again?
Yeah, well, which I'm having problems with. Remo, I may need your help on this because I'm trying to get ready for it. But yeah, we'll get something going in the preseason here, and then we'll just get rolling with we'll always do special ones. If there's a Kyle Connor signing, an Adam Lowry signing, will probably pop up just to get some stuff going there. But look for us to get going again for the post game shows, which everyone knows us for, and probably something in the preseason.
Great to see you. Look forward to seeing you and Kenny here tomorrow at FanFest and throughout training camp as well. Thanks so much, Sean.
All right, we'll be in touch, Remo, for your help and more of your Borat impressions. That's what I need more of.
Between Rennie and Ken and Lapo, Remis literally needs to have just a special IT service for some of the other folks out on YouTube. Great stuff with Sean. We'll get Murat in right away. And Jeff Hamilton coming up as well from Ottawa to get ready for the game tonight. Bombers next up at Princess Auto on the 27th of September. Hopefully they can put themselves in a good spot for that one with a win Saturday, of course, in Ottawa. Princess Auto, proud sponsors of the Bombers' home, Princess Auto Stadium, and Winnipeg Sports Talk. Princess Auto, really synonymous with Winnipeg, headquartered in Winnipeg, founded here in the Peg, and now coast to coast, but with 3 Winnipeg locations, actually just down from the Iceplex, Portage Avenue West, Panet Road, of course out in Brandon. You'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new, waiting for you at Princess Auto. And if you can't make it in store, you can always shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Speaking of great Winnipeg companies, got to shout out our friend Donnie and the great staff over at Manitoba Battery. As Donnie always says, let people know, wake up, stop overpaying for batteries at the big box stores when you've got a local option in Manitoba Battery with 2 locations, Logan Avenue and in the South End on Dovercourt Drive, where you will get the best deals by far. You can sometimes save up to $60 a battery at Manitoba Battery, along with the best in customer service, including free delivery anywhere inside the perimeter with any purchase over $60. So for all your battery needs, shop local, save cash with Manitoba Battery. See them in store or order online today at manitobabattery.com. And hey, the weekend is here. Big Bomber game tomorrow afternoon. Of course, when we're back at Princess Auto Stadium, you'll see people enjoying those Canadian clubs, the Rum Hut area, and of course the CC and Ginger. But if you're heading to your Manitoba liquor marts this weekend, make sure to keep your eyes out for Canadian Club, the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and their special limited edition Blue Bomber label bottle. You can pick that up for the weekend and the next little while. And while you're at it, you can still grasp onto the great taste of summer for a little longer by picking up one of the CC Club packs, a 12-pack with 4 CC and Gingers, 4 Citrus Smash, 4 half and halves available right now as well at your local Manitoba liquor marts. Again, Canadian Club, the official spirit of the Bombers, and your boys here at Winnipeg Sports Talk. All right, keeping it live here from the Hockey for All Center. Best part about it, as I mentioned, coming out here is we get to see our pals in person. Murat Ates is here, fresh off quite the summer travels, and now it's back to work. How are you?
Doing well. Great to be here. Great to be staring out at practice in front of us. There's practice behind us 2 seconds ago. Saw you tearing it up with Sean Reynolds. It's been a good time so far.
It's always fun to get back and see everyone after after the summer. And I was saying already, right off the bat, Murat, and I'll get your take on this. Normally you have a veteran team that does what Winnipeg did last year. I mean, raising the bar, winning a President's Trophy, winning the first division battle, the division banner, I should say. Having a disappointing end of the playoffs, which is the case for all but one team in the National Hockey League. Normally you'd come in and, you'd be sort of business as usual, picking up where you left off. For a team that did what Winnipeg is, there sure is a lot of really interesting storylines with this club. Starting off with a returning NHL legend, figuring out how to make up for the departure of a guy that was a mainstay here in Nikolai Ehlers, loaded blue line, and then, of course, a contract situation with their number one player offensively. So no shortage of things for you to tackle in the Athletic these days as we get going.
No, not at all. No shortage. I could do that one at a time in terms of all those topics. There's so many. We even got to talk to Mark Scheifele the other day, and just him kicking things off with a heartfelt thank you to Jets fans, to his family, to the people around the NHL who reached out to him over the course of the summer. No shortage of big storylines. And no shortage of ambitious talk either, with Scott Arniel saying, hey, you know what, our goal is the Stanley Cup. We're not afraid of naming it out loud. That's what we talk about. I spent the summer trying to figure out ways that we could measure up better the Stanley Cup winners and the teams that made it deeper than we did.
Let's talk about Arnie for a minute, because so much of the conversations has been around the players. It was last year that we went into the season going, okay, Scott Arniel's taking over. How does he make up? And I think by every single measure, he had an absolutely phenomenal year taking over for Rick Bowness, and the results speak for themselves. What do you make of his predicament coming into year 2, having raised the bar with a very veteran team and a pretty packed roster that could make for some very tough decisions once we get to cut down?
Well, he's in a tough spot just because his first 15 games last year set a new NHL record for the best record in history. So it's not going to be something pretty easy to live up to. There's, to go 14-1-0 to start the season, I think is a bar too high to match again, but we get surprised in this sport, and that's part of the fun of it. I think in terms of the jobs, in terms of the detailed battles, the who's going to take which spot, I got to say, the way the contracts are laid out, the way that the team is such a veteran group, I think we could probably circle 13 forwards, 8D, and 2 goaltenders right here and now today, barring injuries. So I think Scott Arniel's challenge, in my mind, is to stay open to the possibility that somebody wows him. But really what it is, it's about taking the group to the next level. It's about finding those incremental advantages that say, hey, when things get tough, we don't give up a freebie in Game 1 against the Dallas Stars. When things get tough, we're not as overwhelmed by the physicality of the St. Louis Blues, because all of those great things we accomplished, the President's Trophy, all of it, we actually found ways to get better and more playoff ready.
The one guy we actually haven't talked about very much, which is hilarious considering what he did last year, because there's not really much to talk about in training camp or the preseason, is Connor Hellebuyck. But this is a guy that's gone back-to-back with the Vezina, has just won the Hart Trophy. The expectations for Hellebuyck is continued brilliance throughout the regular season. All of his questions really will probably come in April, assuming this team is able to get back to the playoffs. But when you have a player that has excelled the way that Hellebuyck has, that has become so important to the success of this team, what do you make of the individual challenges for him moving forward? Or is this just one of these guys that is such a driven goaltender? Every night you pretty much know what you're going to get from that guy, and you work from the goaltending out and know that you have the first piece of where every team wants to start, knowing that final line of defense is frankly better than the guy on the other side pretty much every night.
Yeah, for the Winnipeg Jets during the regular season, the challenge is not to take it for granted. That's the level that Connor Hellebuyck has established for several seasons now. 3 Vezina trophies total. He's been a finalist at other times. The literal reigning Hart Trophy winner as well. You've gotten such great goaltending from him, and the floor for the team's accomplishments, even if Taves struggles, even if the power play doesn't run a ripping hot, almost record-setting #1 all season long, well, the floor is really high for this group because Connor Hellebuyck's in net. There's also the sensation, and we saw this last year, where Jets fans weren't quite happy until the second half of the season happened and there was no second half collapse, right? All season long as well, okay, fine, who cares? They're 14-1-0, but what's going to happen in January or February? Yeah. And Jets fans had been burnt by believing too soon in the season before. This time around, you can just flex that calendar date a little bit different. It's the playoffs. People are going to say, I don't think Winnipeg's going to be disappointed if there's no President's Trophy this year, but there is going to be show me when the games count. Show me come playoff time. Show me that Connor Hellebuyck can dominate on the road. Show me that if there's all kinds of traffic in front of him, he doesn't get rattled. If he gets beat by a goal he doesn't like, he can return to regular season greatness in the playoffs as well. For him, that's a mental battle, and we're going to have the microscope on April, basically, from today. There's almost nothing he can do to change that.
Just before we move off of goaltending, the biggest question around Hellebuyck has always been his workload and how much he plays. And listen, touch wood, he's been a workhorse and he's been incredibly healthy and he's been able to do it. And I have always been the opinion that he gives you the best chance to win night in and night out. He wants to play. He continues to play at a high level. We haven't seen any drop-off of it, and many people will suggest that the difficulties in the playoffs have something to do that I don't know. I haven't yet been convinced of that. But what are your thoughts on just how many, assuming he's healthy the entire way, what makes the most sense? And do you buy the argument that part of the reason why he hasn't been as maybe brilliant consistently in the playoffs in the past is because he has borne such a heavy burden of playing time throughout the year?
Yeah, I think it's a difference between what we know for certain, what we think we know, and then just thinking our way through it. So what we know for certain, Connor Hellebuyck plays a ton. He is among the games played leaders, the saves leaders, year in, year out. There are times where he's number one in those regards. And that probably takes a toll. We think it takes a toll. We don't know exactly to what degree it does. But he's in a league that's splitting to 1A, 1B, a lot of tandems and all that sort of stuff. He's making the argument, and he's done this in the media recently. Maybe it was to Michael Russo. Maybe it was in an NHL.com piece. He said, those days of 70-plus starts, I think we should go back to them.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? He's not saying I should play less. He's not saying I'm playing enough. He's saying I want to play more. So we know that at least that's his happy zone, playing as much as possible. What we're not sure about is the actual amount of wear and tear. And here's what I think. I think that the Jets do a good job of listening to his body. I think they do a good job of listening to Wade Flaherty, his coach. I think Wade Flaherty does a good job of listening to Connor Hellebuyck, and they probably have access to some pretty reasonable things in terms of heart rate monitors, things in the jerseys, chips, all that sort of stuff to measure his workload and his recovery rate. So I think they probably get that right, though I don't know that. The one thing that we really wish we could say for sure, for me, Huss, is this. It's the mental, emotional toll of playoff hockey when the game changes and all of a sudden, because of 2 deflections and 3 bounces or a whole bunch of net front traffic, he gets beat for 4 goals in a period. Well, that's an emotional thing. Is he exhausted emotionally by the time that he gets to that point? Is anybody resilient enough to be the workhorse that he is and then go through that and then recover from it and then not overcorrect his game? Because that's the one thing he's admitted is like, I've made tweaks too far. And I think that there's still some room to grow, whether it's just his mental resilience, whether it's how he recovers, or whether maybe even being more rested could help with that. And I don't know what the solution is.
Well, certainly I know we're going to be getting a lot of 37. I always have this fun conversation where we're talking about with friends. Can you imagine if Connor Hellebuyck was born a little earlier and instead of being a Winnipeg Jet, found himself on those Carolina teams back in the day with Paul Maurice? Like, he might have played the full 82. I mean, didn't Arturs Urbe play 79 games?
Yeah, it was in the high 70s. Was it 79? That's incredible.
I mean, just basically, guess what? You're going, and he would be in for that. He absolutely would be in for that. But again, I'm expecting a similar sort of workload as the last few years, and he'll be the number one guy that will change that. We're just 2 days in. I mean, this group's just out for the second time so far, but we know the usual suspects. I mean, what have you garnered so far from some of the new players? I mean, you've had a chance to see Gus Nyquist, Koepke, Tanner Pearson, anything that's caught your eye from players that haven't worn a Jet jersey yet in games?
Yeah, it looks like Tanner Pearson and Cole Koepke are number one in line for those wing jobs on what could be Morgan Barron's fourth line for Winnipeg. So, paying extra attention to them. Tanner Pearson's size stands out immediately, right? He's like impossible not to take notice of for that. He does a good job sort of in terms of setting up angles such that he can win physical battles as well. He's known for his shot. He's a high volume shooter, or at least has been in various parts of his career. So I think the hope is that he can chip in a little bit of offense. Cole Koepke, I haven't gotten as many eyeballs on him as I've liked to, even though he's been out there and I've been here. But I do like his game as far as I know it, in terms of two-way, high energy, sort of do whatever it takes kind of a way of playing. And I think you like that in your fourth line. Standouts for me, otherwise, Nikita Chibrikov looks as annoying as ever, and it's good that he's back to health. I'm going to say that Gabriel Vilardi's straight line speed looks more impressive to me than last year. I used to think of him as a slow player, and he's been one of the quicker ones in terms of straight line speed out there for me. And if that's real, and I'm not imagining it, I'm going to have to watch it a couple of days, you right? Like, that could be a really big piece of his game taking the next step. Yeah, we'll go with that.
You know, listen, I watch a lot of hockey. You're between playing fantasy and DFS and all those things. You get to know players. I'll be honest, I was stunned when the Jets signed Koepke, and I kind of dug in, that he played 73 games last year for the Boston Bruins. Now, granted, I mean, he had only had 26 NHL games before last season. And the Bruins were a team that, you know, because of some of their struggles, maybe we didn't see them in as many of the kind of marquee matchups as they've been in the past. But what an opportunity for a young guy to come in to a team that obviously saw something in him to build off of a first full year in the National Hockey League. But first, I mean, you're coming into a very competitive environment, trying to establish yourself very early on and show that the reasons that you gave the organization to sign you in the first place are right in front of everyone's eyes and ready to go for a spot in that opening lineup.
Yeah, they don't owe him anything, right? They signed him to a contract. Now it's on him to deliver fourth line or better quality, and you sort of show up looking at an opportunity. It's cool in a way that you think of the human side of this, right? You know, a lot of guys could be coming into a situation like this. They don't know anybody. They're looking for who to fit in with. They're looking for different ways to sort of show themselves. In Cole Koepke's case, he's good buds with the Minnesota guys, right? He's got the Hermantown connection. He used to play outdoor games at Neil Pionk's family house. They've got like tradition there. There's connections to the Sandbergs as well. So he's not coming in not having a connection or needing to completely establish himself to his teammates. I think he's another one from that Minnesota pipeline that the Jets seem to have. And he's close with some key guys on the team, which, I don't know, on some human level has got to help you root yourself a little bit and then show the best that you can. And, you know, so far it looks like he's first in line for fourth line right wing. Yeah, it seems, you know, right off the bat that Pearson and Koepke are sort of the guys that they're looking at that. And, you know, I brought this up with Sean earlier. I'm sure we'll get a few different looks depending on the rosters of who plays throughout the preseason. I will admit I was hoping we might get a chance during the time that Adam Lowry is out to see about Morgan Barron playing in that role. And I just think, I mean, he's got the size, he's got that element of speed that not a lot of other players have at that position. But the bottom line, whether it's on that third line or whether it's on the fourth line, it will be in the bottom six. And Morgan Barron, maybe more than anybody at the first 20 games of the season as Adam Lowry works to come back, has a glorious opportunity, I think, to play a little bit more than he maybe traditionally has in the past and to build off what I thought was maybe the best in-season transition we've seen a player moving from the wing to center and making an impact immediately when he was out. Yeah, I think about that playoff goal that he scored that was called back on the offside where it was just a great move, great speed, great power. When he moved into the middle of the ice, it really was a take notice moment. He was bulldozing players. He was using his pace. There's a lot of stuff to like there. The reality of these Winnipeg Jets are they're veteran heavy. They have jobs assigned to their veteran players, and that third line job that Adam Lowry is sort of vacating by virtue of his hip surgery right now is all worker bees of the veteran mold. Nino Niederreiter, Vladislav Nemesnikov, and Alex Iafallo. So that job, I don't know. If you're wishful about young players taking a next step in terms of their spot in the pecking order, you're not going to get a lot of that with the Winnipeg Jets this year. So it's going to be on Morgan Barron to seize the moment in those first, like you say, 10, 15, 20 games, whatever it is with Adam Lowry out, and then prove maybe, just maybe, he can hold on to that center spot when everybody's back and healthy, or show that he can be the third line guy if they ever need him to be that again. Murat Ates of The Athletic is with us. Pop by The Athletic to get ready for the season with his latest, The State of the Franchise, the Taves variable, Kyle Connor's future, and a secret weapon. And let's touch on Kyle Connor for a minute. You were here yesterday. We heard both from Kyle Connor and from Kevin Cheveldayoff. Now, before I editorialize it all, let me give it to you. What did you make of what you heard from Kyle Connor and from the GM as it pertains to an extension for 81? Yeah, it was Kyle Connor's it was Kyle Connor who spoke first, and he did his very best to say, hey, let's just let the business take care of business. I'm going to be the best player that I can, and let's not talk any more about it than that. And it is easy, I think, to have that kind of attitude when you're fresh off of a 97-point season. You've been doing it for years. In the Jets 2.0 history, you've got number 1 and number 2 in the most points. You know what I mean? You're still 28 years old. You're approaching free agency with the cap going up and a whole host of other star players in line to make a lot of money and stretch what you're possibly going to make. I think it's pretty easy to see, let business take care of itself from Kyle Connor's perspective. That's not to say it's not something he'll be thinking about a lot. It's not to say it's not important to him, but he's in a pretty good spot. It's the Winnipeg Jets, who have just seen Nikolai Ehlers go, that really need to make sure that, whatever it is, whether it's 10, 11, 12 million, the Winnipeg Jets aren't going to get a Kyle Connor for that kind of money if they let him go and all of a sudden they've got UFA money to spend. They're in a situation where this is a really important player to them. They've earmarked this for literal years. They're ready for the moment, and they want to be able to get something done. The best news is that it seems like everybody's talking. I certainly believe that Kyle Connor likes it here and feel more inclined to think he's going to stay than Nikolai Ehlers a year ago. But there's going to be some work to do, and I think it's Winnipeg who is in a little bit of a tougher spot.
Yeah, the thing that really kind of caught me, and again, if you watch it back, Cheveldayoff kind of says it, very kind of sternly and seriously. But reading the quote, we continue to talk, things are good, and then you're hoping that every conversation is the one that gets it across the finish line. From that, I certainly took that a lot of this work has been done, and they're moving forward, which obviously is a great thing for Jet fans because, Murat, and I'll get your take on this, last week doing the show, when the news about Kaprizov saying no to an 8-year, 16 per extension, listen, it gave shockwaves around the National Hockey League, but my immediate thought was, oh, wow, what does this do to the Kyle Connor situation? And then I do think that there's the agents of, the Eichels, Kaprizov, Connor in particular. I think McDavid's sort of in his own category.
Yep.
Potentially sort of maybe not wanting to be the first guys that get the deal done because of the comparables. I always bring up the example in the National Football League. Every time a quarterback signs an extension, he becomes the highest paid player in the league. And it doesn't matter that these guys can't hold Patrick Mahomes' water bottle. Where the cap is right now and the fact that they're signing it right now, that is what they're getting. And I did wonder about some of the external forces that might make things a little bit more difficult to get this done. But at the same time, the first thing that needs to happen is Kyle Connor wants to stay. I know he didn't really get into all of that, but by all accounts, they're in a good place for that. And for the Winnipeg Jets and the agent, it's finding a number that is fair for Kyle Connor, that makes sense, that rewards him for everything that he's done, sets him up for life. But the bottom line is he seems to be bought into this group, this city, this organization, and nothing happens if that doesn't happen first. And now it's kind of time for Larry Simmons and the agent to finally get to a point where they got a number that everyone can live with and move forward.
Yeah, it's the number, it's the term, it's bonuses as well. Step one, like you say, does he like it here? Sure seems like he does. And you think about it, first line minutes for ages, first power play unit minutes for ages, big role on the PK as well. This is one of the players in the best positions to have success that there is. They're really consistent line mates. Mark Scheifele, the chemistry that they have, the offense that they've put together as a duo, and then with Gabriel Ballhary as well. There are some teams in the NHL where Kyle Connor would not get the kind of minutes that he does here, which is wild to think of. But you think of Four Nations where, for whatever reason, they didn't even play him, right? Like, there are situations. This is a great situation for Kyle Connor. Off the ice, he's part of that group that likes the outdoor activities. He likes the hunting and fishing. He's more into the Connor Hellebuck lifestyle than the Nikolai Ehlers away from the ice business. The cold of Winnipeg doesn't trouble him. There's a lot of reasons to think that it could work here. But all that stuff that you said about getting the number right, somebody, Kaprizov, turning down 16 mil. Well, okay, I don't think Connor would get 16, but if Kaprizov's saying no to 16, does Kyle Connor think, okay, now maybe I'm closer to 13 now or 12, and it could have been 10 a year ago or what have you? Knowing the cap's going up, what's the inclination to wait and see what these other guys get? Or take a 3-year deal, a 4-year deal, something short-term where he can get another UFA contract while the cap's still going up every year. There are reasons to think that it's a little bit more complex than just we want him, they want to be here, everything's going to fit. And then after all of that, there's the idea of contract bonuses where Mark Scheifele didn't have signing bonuses. Connor Hellebuck didn't. You go through Winnipeg Jets history, they don't do that. You go to Vegas, Mitch Marner gets $11 million this year in a signing bonus. Money up front helps keep his AAV down to 12. Kyle Connor, if you want him at a reasonable AAV, you might need to give him money up front in that same sort of way. So it's, for me, the issue isn't do they want him, does he want this? There's so many term bonuses and total money sort of situations where it's just getting those details in a place they're happy with. Does
the bonuses really change the AAV?
I think that it does. Now, that's not a scientific fact, but I'll tell you why I think it does. If you put $11 million in Vegas tax situation in Mitch Marner's hand and $1 million is salary, and you get the money up front, you get to invest it, you get to use it as you see fit, you're going to make more money off of that $11 million received instantly. So I think that Mitch Marner's $12 million AAV, as an example I keep using.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't change the AAV, though.
No, not for cap calculation, okay. But I think that if those bonuses weren't bonuses and it was just raw salary, I think he'd be at 13, 14. That's what I'm saying. So I think if you give Kyle Connor a whack of bonuses, and I'm not saying the Jets are going to do that, they probably don't want to, but you might be able to, by letting him get wealthy sooner, putting that money in his hands sooner, he might take a lower total amount of money, and that would help your cap.
What just on that topic, because it does have major implications here in Winnipeg, but also around the league. I know I'm sure you've been talking to your colleague Michael Russo, and what are you hearing about this situation in Minnesota? Like, it was funny, as a Jets guy, I'm like partly snickering, like, oh, that sucks for the Wild, too bad, a big rival of Winnipeg. But then almost immediately I'm like, oh my God, what does that mean for Winnipeg? Because a lot of this is connected. I mean, that was earth-shattering news, I would say, around the league when that report came out.
100%. I think that's the highest AAV in NHL history. It would have been if he had signed it. And so the question. Term, yeah, you add it up, right? Like,
biggest contract of all time.
And to think that that he would say no to that, I think the questions become why. And so I wonder, are there other places he'd rather play than Minnesota? And is there a chance he'd rather sign a short-term deal and then explore this again in the future? There's got to be some human reason why it was a no, and probably keeping options open. That number is probably not going to go down by July 1, you know what I mean? So maybe there's that. And then if you're Winnipeg, it's, well, to what degree is your star looking at this superstar and thinking, okay, let's wait and see how that plays out. And I think Kyle Connor, I don't know this, right? But I think that Kyle Connor is more willing to take care of business sooner and not do that dance. But whatever salary you make in whatever industry you're in, whether it's like an hourly wage or literal millionaires in this case, if you see somebody who you think you're as good as making way more than you're going to want more. That's a fact. That's people, right? And so there's a chance that plays into things.
The part that is so fascinating, and listen, I'll say, I am of the opinion that part of the reason why there is an urgency to get this done is that, after what happened with Nikolai Ehlers and where this franchise is and the importance of Kyle Connor, the Winnipeg Jets need clarity on his situation because, listen, I don't have no reason to believe this is the case. In fact, everything says it's the opposite. But if he did say, I don't know about signing right now, I'm going to see how things go, and, I might want to see what's out there at the end of the season. Like, if that was what the Winnipeg Jets are getting back, I think that forces them into seriously considering, some sort of a trade. I don't think the Minnesota Wild are that far off from where the Jets are with Kyle Connor in Kaprizov. Like, they may have a better opportunity to spend some of that money in free agency that Winnipeg does. I would guess I'll grant them that. But, this guy is their cornerstone offensive player, and to lose Kaprizov for nothing at the end of the year would be absolutely devastating to the Minnesota Wild franchise. And
worse for them than Winnipeg and Connor. Like, that's a more pivotal central player for them.
Yeah, I would agree. He is the cornerstone. And the funny thing is, part of the reason why I was so stunned that he turned that a record deal down is the fact that he is a player that has had a pretty significant injury history. I mean, he played half the season, if that, last year. The year before, he missed a significant amount of time. So there absolutely is a level of risk involved that's saying no to a contract bigger than anyone has ever signed in the history of the National Hockey League.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at you can see Kyle Connor's health history or whatever is a pretty darned good one. There have been years he's missed some time or what have you, but Kaprizov coming off of that, the situation that he's been in, I think it's just confidence. It's that as long as I can play this sport, somebody's going to be willing to pay me an awful lot of money. And maybe you see on the internet and things like that, I want to attribute this correctly, but the rumor is that he's got friends in New York, and so why wouldn't he go there or something like that? It gets to a point where there's got to be a real life human reason that has nothing to do with whether you're a 15-5 or a 16-5 player, because, I mean, come on.
Murat, so great catching up and seeing you in person. Fill people in on the state of the franchise piece that's up right now at theathletic.com, and what else you've got cooking now that the fellas are back on the ice.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have camp observations. We got those as well up. But the state of the franchise, I think, is a piece I take, extra pride in. I spend a couple extra, a little bit of extra time on it every year. And it's an assessment of where the Jets are in terms of their cup window, an assessment of their veteran core, an assessment of the salary cap situation. And basically what it concludes is what I think we all know, what Gabriel Ballhary said this summer when he signed his 6-year deal. He said, well, I think we've got a 4 to 5 year window to win in this city. We've got Connor Hellebuck, we've got Mark Scheifele, we've got all of these pieces, and I think we can do it here. Well, the more you look at the details, and they're leaning on the veterans that they've signed, and the state of the prospects, and the state of the cap situation, and all of these different things, and of course the uncertainty with Connor, though I think he'll sign, the more it's clear to me that these next few years are Winnipeg's let's go years. And we've been talking like this in different stages. I think that they've recognized it. I think it's very, very clear this is cup contention or bust for these next few seasons.
Murat, great stuff as always. Thanks so much for doing this. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow out here with a packed house for FanFest.
Yeah, I'll see you in 5,000 fans. It'll be great.
Good stuff. There's Murat Ates. Don't forget, we will be doing a special show. We'll fire it up at 11 after the IC guys are done with their broadcast. I believe they're going to be out here as well. So make sure if you're out here at FanFest, pop by and say hi. You'll see Murat, Rennie, and the rest of the gang here covering the team, and we will be there as well. Listen, we're going to head to Ottawa in just a minute and hook up with Hammer. Do want to give a big shout out to our friends at F Apparel, the #1 spot for custom men's clothing in town, gang. Listen, if you're looking into your closet and realize that it's time to up your menswear game as we get into fall and winter, there's only one place you need to go. F Apparel, 190 Smith Street, with custom suits starting at $400. Chinos, golf pants, custom shirts, both tucked and untucked styles, and the best selection of menswear accessories in town. Get married or a wedding party, make sure to talk to the guys at F about a special discount for you and the boys when you get your suits for the big day at F Apparel. Are waiting for you down at 190 Smith Street. Check them out online and make an appointment to come in for a fitting at F. That's EPHapparel.com. We're not done with the live racing season, gang. Assiniboia Downs will be back in action through until October. I'm actually heading out on the 1st of October. Looking forward to that with the folks. Tuesday and Wednesday next week, live racing, 7:30 p.m. You want to make a great night of it, I suggest you make an appointment if there is availability in that clubhouse dining room for the world-class prime rib buffet. And good luck with the picks. We're coming down to the nitty-gritty. Remis and I very, very tight in our year-long competition, so we'll get back to the picks next week. And we did WST winners earlier today for the NFL picks. We'll have the NFL next week. We'll also have a special Ryder Cup edition with myself and Pat Gregoire as we get ready for Bethpage. Of course, all our golf reports all season long brought to you by Breezy Bend. We're already getting ready for the 2026 seasons. The men's clothing tomorrow. If you're looking for a great spot for a long-term golfing home for you and your family, consider Breezy Bend. Holler at Corey Johnson at the clubhouse or check it out online at breezybend.ca. All right, as we bring Jeff Hamilton in, let me fire out the why not question of the day, and it's for you Bomber fans. Simple as this. Can the Bombers get the job done and get a win in Ottawa tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m.? Ottawa is where we go right now to welcome in Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press, who has been in Ottawa seemingly forever. I think he had a wedding there last week and has just been chilling, getting ready for this game on Saturday. How's the week been, dude?
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. I was here on Thursday last week for a family wedding, and I've been a lot of fun over for that. And then I've been in the nation's capital the rest of the week. I attended Ottawa Redblacks practice yesterday. Got a chance to speak to our old friend Drew Brown here from the former Bombers quarterback room, and his is eagerly awaiting to return to the field against his former team. And I went to Nordique Spa yesterday. Anyone who knows anything about Ottawa, and well, actually, it's technically in the Quebec side, but it's kind of like our Thermea. Well, it is our Thermea. It's the same company. And then I have a concert tonight before the big game tomorrow. So looking forward to it.
Beautiful. What give us the vibe around the Redblacks right now. This is a desperate team in a desperate situation, and yet they get their franchise quarterback back that they've been dealing with the loss of for the better part of the last couple months.
You know, it's surprisingly upbeat. Like, it's not, I'm not going to say everyone's, smiles and laughing and high fives and everything, but it's surprisingly upbeat. I think the fact that Bob Dice has done a good job of kind of keeping his troops focused on the task at hand. I mean, they are coming off a big victory, obviously, and need to continue to build on that. I feel like the attitude, if I could sum it up, Huss, would be, and I'll take this right from Drew Brown's mouth, we got 5 games left. Might as well win them all. And in this case, where they're at 4-9 at the bottom of the East Division, they may just have to run the rest of the table to punch their ticket into the playoffs. We'll have to wait and see how that all shakes out. But there isn't any, give up attitude on that team right now, and that's expected, obviously, with a guy like Drew Brown, who would be throwing the ball, chucking the ball, trying to extend every single play, whether it was up 45 points or down 45 points. So still some life there in the nation's capital. But the good news for the Bombers is they can probably extinguish that with a victory tomorrow, and that's going to be their obviously their goal here.
Well, and that's the thing for Winnipeg. I mean, they don't really need to concern themselves with anybody else other than themselves. And you could really make the argument that where they sit right now in the standings. They've been dealt some tough blows. Obviously, the loss of Zach Collaros is significant, but regardless of whether it was Collaros or Chris Stravler at the helm, this team just simply has not taken care of the football this year, Jeff, and it has absolutely killed them. Listen, this team is going to go out there and they will compete. I know that they believe in themselves. There's a significant amount, I think, of consternation and dread over the fact that Collaros won't be playing again. Thoughts on the plight of the Bombers heading into this one, and in particular how it's kind of circles around the guy behind center taking QB1 snaps?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Zach Collaros, ever since he went down with that head injury in the Banjo Bowl, that's been the top story here. We've talked about Chris Stravler and whether or not he's capable of leading this offense. You mentioned the turnovers, Haas. It's been pretty bad over the last, particularly over the last few games here, both from Chris Stravler and from Zach Collaros. I think it was 7 in the last 3 games. So obviously that's a concern. It's uncharacteristic of this team. And the fact of the matter is, Haas, this offense isn't good enough to make the kind of mistakes that they're making and put their defense in the position that they've been putting them in, right? I mean, it's one thing not to put up points. It's a whole other thing to give away the ball and have that lead to points. And that's certainly been the case for this offense, whether it's been led by Chris Stravler or Zach Collaros, to be quite frank. With Chris now behind center for a second game, the hope here is obviously he grows off last week, continues to take advantage of his first team reps at practice, and hopefully looks a lot more like that week 1 player in BC than he did last week against Hamilton. And so that's really, that's it here. I think it is interesting. Chris Stravler was clearly brought in to be more than just a short yardage guy. But the thing I keep coming back to is, at what point do you look to Terry Wilson in this situation? I mean, this is a guy who, and I understand Chris Stravler was injured last year for the Grey Cup, but this is a guy who, Wilson was the guy who was called on to play in the Grey Cup. What's it going to take to get him into, get into a regular season game. And what we do know about him, what little we know about him, or at least from the comments that head coach Mike O'Shea has shared, is he throws a beautiful ball. It's like, okay, like what more do you need than a beautiful ball? That would be massively helpful. So, it's a little bit confusing here in the approach, but it really isn't confusing at all at the same time, Huss. This is and I'm not trying to rip on Chris Streveler here, but I just think we've seen enough. Like, we've seen enough to know what his ceiling is, right? And here's the other part. It's not like you have to, go with what, I know it's ideal, especially for a play caller, to go with one quarterback, but why not mix in some creativity here with a guy like Terry Wilson, right? He's pretty good at his short yardage deals. Like, he'll probably take over that this game. We'll have to wait and see, but it's a curious case. But really, I think, you look at the vibe around, you ask about the vibe around Ottawa. Well, the vibe around Winnipeg is, they're still trying to play their boring brand of football, right? They're still saying all the right things, minus a few subtle, critiques, if you will, of Jason Hogan that we got from Brady Oliveira this week. But everyone's still, that collective frustration, which is brewing under the surface in Winnipeg, has kept the lid on it. I think, the vibe here is this team is 6-7. They're still in a playoff position, and they have to approach each week like they have the last 5 years, and that's game by game. And so, but that being said, you lose to the last place Ottawa Redblacks, and maybe there's potential for that lid to kind of blow open a little bit, because that they're not going to want to come to practice next week, being the club that lost to the worst team in the league. But not that they give a care about rankings or whatnot, but that would certainly they'd be falling off a cliff in that regard. So anyways, there's I don't want to say a lot of pressure here. They understand what's at stake. They understand where they're at in the standings. It's just about getting the job done. But when you've lost 3 straight games and you're trying to stop the bleeding, what looks like an ideal opponent suddenly doesn't look all that ideal anymore with the return of Drew Brown and with Chris Streveler leading your offense.
Let's just dig into a bit more. You're as dialed in and connected to the club as anybody. I used to rag on Maurice with the Jets for running a union shop and, having guys that they've been there for this long. That's their spot regardless of performance. Is Streveler, are the Bombers running with Streveler because he has been their guy and that's his spot? Or is there more to it that they simply feel that they need to win a football game and 17 is their best avenue to do that?
It's both. It's not one or the other. I think it's both. And I think it's both because I just think they know this is the issue with Chris Streveler. Like, you feel like you feel like his floor and his ceiling, right? Like, what you're going to get at a minimum. And what we've seen from him as a ceiling is kind of okay. Like, it's not dominating, but it's pretty good. Again, a la week 1 against BC. There's certainly loyalty at play here. That's what Mike O'Shea does. He makes his decisions off his, sometimes more with his heart than his head. And I think this is, that loyalty has worked a lot. That loyalty to the players has worked. It's led to 5 straight Grey Cup visits and of course 2 championships, right? It's worked in a lot of ways. The issue here now is that the team isn't as good as they were even last season. It appears the focus is now on the quarterback position, which is the most important position, right? Let's call a spade here. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers probably don't pick up or trade for Zach Collaros in 2019 if Chris Streveler didn't get injured, right? So, to hear Mike O'Shea, and I'll have to temper myself here, but to hear Mike O'Shea talk about what Chris Streveler did in 2019 is embarrassing to me. Like, I just think that is so ridiculous of a sales pitch to a fan base who has high expectations. It's like, we get this is like, it feels like Mike's country club in a lot of ways, right? But here's the thing. We don't know what Terry Wilson has. So this idea of just putting him out there in a game, while it seems like, okay, like what do you have to lose? I guess the answer to that is the game and potentially your playoff position. But what you get with Chris Streveler. You don't really know what you get with Terry Wilson. So why not see what you have in him? You've kept on to him for a couple of years now. You put him in the most important game of the season last year when your starter went down, despite having a veteran quarterback in Dolagala on the roster, right? So, you've given this guy, you've given him high praise. This to me feels like a last. I said this last week. I wrote about this last week. It felt like a final chance for Chris Streveler to kind of prove he's a number one quarterback. Look, great guy, great attitude, great leader, not a starting quarterback in the CFL. We've seen more than enough. So this idea, like, depending on how long how long Zach Collaros is out, it could be one more week. He could be back next week, right? I think a lot of people, myself included, wouldn't have ruled him out this week. But with the lack of practice, I think when you consider the head injury, which is likely a concussion, or at least should be treated like a concussion, you're not going to put him out there like this idea that he doesn't need reps. Sorry, Mike, he does need reps. He needs reps because he has a head injury. He doesn't need reps because he forgets the play calling. He needs to go through that kind of, pressure, those kind of physical moments, even when they're in practice, right? He needs to go through that. He needs those reps. This idea that Zach Collaros can come from a head injury just into a game is nonsense. And Mike knows that, but he thinks there's some competitive edge that the public doesn't need to know that when his opponent obviously does. So anyways, moving back to a little bit less of a rant, I do think that, this is a situation where loyalty is burning them. And for a fan base, and I think I find myself on two kind of sides here with the fan base. I certainly understand where they're coming from and their frustration. This is the Grey Cup year in Winnipeg. And as much as they've been spoiled, they want to see their team in the Grey Cup this year. And they see decisions being made that just don't seem to make any sense. Well, and that's the issue.
Jeff, just to interject on that, that's kind of why I'm a little surprised that the leash hasn't been a little shorter on Strev, in that there's immense pressure internally for this team to get it right, to be in the playoffs and find a way to play in this game. And listen, I totally agree with you that, O'Shea is an incredibly loyal guy, but they walked away from Andrew Harris. Adam Bighill's on the Calgary Stampeders right now. Kenny Lawler is in Hamilton. There's been some big-time contributors that have been huge parts of this team, this leadership group, all of that are no longer Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So when we are faced with what we've seen so far over this last little while since Collaros has been knocked out, it does beg the question as to at what point do you give the other guy an opportunity? I'll just finish with this. As it pertains to the quarterback, do you expect the leash to be shorter on Chris Streveler, considering the stakes of this game and where the Bombers are at?
No, I don't at all. I don't think we see Wilson at all this game. Unless it's for short yardage opportunities. Unless it's really, really bad or Chris gets hurt, or like I said, really, really bad. 30 yards passing at halftime. I don't even know if that would be enough, depending on how the game was going. It's just there's been such a reluctance to trust anyone else that hasn't had, several games under their belt. And that's the case for Chris Streveler, right? He's been, obviously he had his time in the NFL, but he was with this team in 2019. He started games that season. He started games, before that. He started games after that. So, again, it's more of a trust thing and understanding what you know and not going with what you don't. And the fact of the matter is we just don't know enough about Terry Wilson, even though I would make the argument, we got to find out, right? But that really is, and just to kind of finish off on my last point before, the other part with the fan base too is it's been pretty good sledding here, right? I talked to Drew Brown yesterday. This was an interesting conversation, and this was a story that was in today's paper. I asked Drew Brown about the talk about Zach Collaros and people, the fan base here and others outside of the province talking about, they should have gone with Drew Brown. Drew Brown looked me in the eyes and called that foolish. He called it absolutely ridiculous. He said that people who have come to him and said, "Hey, did you think the Bombers would have picked you over Zach?" And he said, "Absolutely not. And I wouldn't want them to." He said it would be toxic for that team, toxic for that organization, and quote unquote, they should ride him till the wheels fall off, given what he's contributed to the organization and locker room. This is the thing. This is the thing about pro sports, Huss. It's not. No one's here to make friends. It's a cutthroat business. But the fact of the matter is a fan base who was the laughing stock of the CFL prior to 2019 became the fat, bloated group who's gone to 5 straight championship games and won twice, right? So there's got to be, while it's easy to say just go with the next person, there's some, major success in that locker room and loyalty that does need to be doled out. And that's the perspective of football players and football management. So, while us on the outside might think, okay, you know, like this is just what business is, and you need to make, you know, screw relationships and screw, you know, whatever culture and whatnot, just bring in the best players and do this all over again. That hasn't been the way the Winnipeg has won. Winnipeg has won with loyalty. And so they're not going to, you know, Mike O'Shea's not going to waver in his approach. The unfortunate part is I just don't think he has the dogs to get it done this year. He doesn't seem to have that same confidence, that same mix, that same, you know, punishing O-line, that same, you know, whatever you want to fill in the blank. It just, they don't seem to have it, and it's going to look bad possibly for the first time in a while.
Hammer, great stuff. Enjoy the rest of your stay in Ottawa and the game tomorrow. We'll look forward to your coverage of the game in the Winnipeg Free Press. And I just hope that I didn't get Wally pipped by Connor on Tuesday on CFL 110, and there's still a place for me on next week's show. Shout out to him. Did a great job. Really enjoyed it from KC. We'll see you next week, pal. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks so much, Huss. And yeah, Connor did a great job filling in and Remo producing. So all was well. Looking forward to having you back in the big chair this Tuesday as we recap Week 16. Let's get it done. Looking forward to tomorrow's game, and check it out. Everybody have a great weekend. Safe and positive weekend.
Appreciate it, Hammer. Yeah, big weekend in the Canadian Football League. Tomorrow, and this is actually, I think we've got the operation set up. We're going to be finishing up around 1:30 at FanFest. And then I think it might call for a direct shot to Boston Pizza for the Bombers and the Ottawa Redblacks. Of course, Boston Pizza is the best spot to get together with your gang for the big game, and there's plenty of them this weekend. Hit your local BP for the Bomber game tomorrow afternoon. We got a doubleheader tonight in the CFL. The Blue Jays are in the pennant race, and of course, Boston Pizza is your home for NFL football all day Sunday with great prizes for the primetime games. I was at Monday Night Football at the Taylor Boston Pizza a couple weeks ago. A couple of the guys got a chance to spin the wheel for some great prizes. And obviously, you've got NFL football on all the screens. You've got great sound, wonderful service, ice-cold schooners, world-famous BP wings. No one does it better. And gourmet pizzas. What could be better than that? This weekend for the Bombers, for NFL, and Jets season just around the corner, not to mention the Jays pennant race. Make it your local Boston Pizza Lounge. And hey, we got the sounds of hockey behind us. Hockey is back. Many people just starting their seasons. Of course, Royal Sports is the hockey superstore in town for over 50 years. You've also got all the best in NFL, NHL, CFL merchandise. But this weekend, tomorrow, it's the one of the world famous the Royal Sports tent sales. Thousands of pairs of shoes, thousands of pieces of merch, all 50% off or more under the big tent at 750 Pembina Highway. So get down there early, 10 a.m. Things will get going on Saturday with the best deals of the year at Royal Sports with their final tent sale of the year. Do not miss it. Saturday and Sunday, 750 Pembina Highway. And of course, Royal Sports also on Instagram. You can check out what they're rolling out. Royal Sports Winnipeg. Give them a sub for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. We're going to check in on what's happening tomorrow here at FanFest before Hacksaw joins us in Marbles. First off, though, the weekend's just about here. Big cheers to all of you from our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, we are back live at the Hockey for All Center, the site of tomorrow's 2025 Winnipeg Jets Fan Fest, and a WST favorite, a great friend of the program, none other than the director of game production and good times, Kyle Ballhary, joins us. Balls, what is up?
Thanks,
it's great
buddy.
to see you in person.
It's so
Hockey's
good to see
back.
You. Hockey is back. It smells like hockey. It feels like hockey. There's been so many fans out here today. We were just commenting on how fast the Jets look out there, the skating, the speed. I mean, This is awesome, Huss.
Yeah, well, it's going to be awesome tomorrow. FanFest has continued to grow, and I don't know whether it is the excitement around Jonathan Toews, just people so excited to see the team back after the incredible year they had last year, but found out that tickets basically all gone for the event tomorrow, and it's shaping up to be a packed but very, very fun day here at the Hockey for All Center. Fill people in on what awaits them at FanFest tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just incredibly exciting that we are pretty much sold out of the event. I mean, tickets went fast. You know, remnants of an incredible season, one might say, or just overall excitement that's continued through the summer.
The taste factor's big.
And, hey, for sure the taste factor is big, but I mean, man, it was a season like no other, and you know, I think those vibes have continued here. The vibes, like I said, at this place has been awesome all day, and for camp already. FanFest is the you know, hockey's back. The players, the fans, the coaches are here, the GMs are here, our whole roster is here, the media are here. I mean, this is kind of the home of hockey for all day tomorrow. It's so exciting. The players skate. They'll be on stage talking. Chevy will be up there having a discussion. There'll be several players on stage having a discussion. There's tons of giveaways. The music will be pumping. I mean, it's just the ignition of hockey once again in our city, and it's super exciting.
Maybe they'll announce an extension for Kyle Connor tomorrow at FanFest.
You never know what will happen at FanFest.
Is that on the list? Do you have that announce a Connor extension?
There will be hot dogs at FanFest, for sure.
Yeah, well, we dare to dream, but
there will be giveaways. There will be hot dogs, popcorn, and good times.
And one thing that I will say, and I just saw our old buddy Dave Blackmore setting up on the other rink. I have made a point to very early on coming here, jump into the Pro Shop sale, and Winnipeggers love good deals. If you are at FanFest, make sure to check out what they've got on that other rink, because the last couple years I have jumped in early and often at some of the great deals on the merch that will be available.
It's actually been incredible. The frenzy that happens over at the merch side.
That's where I got the Sandberg game-worn jersey.
It's awesome over there. Like, the people are loving that place.
Well, I mean, Winnipeggers love good deals, and I think the best of the year will be here for it. So it's going to start off early tomorrow. I believe the doors open, is it 10 or is it 9?
Let's look it up.
Yeah. Remo, if you could confirm that on where. We're all going to be here early. I know the IC guys are starting at 9 a.m., and then we are going live after they finish up, probably for an hour or so, around 11 o'clock tomorrow. The one thing, Balls, that I wanted to touch on with you while you were here is opening night. And I mentioned this off the top of the show. If people jumped on later, our WST games are locked in now and set. And I didn't know whether we'd be able to make it happen, but the club has been very nice to us and has given us an allotment of tickets for the home opener. So we will announce that, and those will be live next week. Pay attention to our socials, and I would suggest make sure you're signed up for the newsletter, because as soon as that live, we'll send it out to everyone, and they'll be able to get those tickets first up. And that's a game that, I mean, I always go to the home opener. I mean, it is so much fun, the beginning of the season. But Kyle, for this one, I mean, the return of Jonathan Toews to the National Hockey League. And I think for a lot of fans, listen, I was still pissed off for 5 years that the Jets blew the Central Division in 2019 and we didn't have that banner. Well, we got one this year, winning the division, and obviously the President's Trophy. I've always been envious while going around the league and seeing those other banners. We've got a couple. All going to be a part of a massive, massive first day. That is the game that you want to get there early for. Give a quick rundown on what you and the team have planned for opening night as we meet the 2025-26 Winnipeg Jets, and obviously throw some new hardware up in the rink.
And you said it. I mean, it was an incredible season, and to start the season with a celebration of unveiling the two banners is going to be just an incredible way to start. And, you know, we waited a long time. We can relish in the excitement of what was, but we can also get ready for what is going to happen, and that's coming to the arena for another exciting season with one of the best teams in the National Hockey League and the best fans in the National Hockey League. This is a opportunity to grow and to even be better, right? Like last year was incredible. The banners are going to be amazing. I would encourage everyone, my friend, and maybe the most important thing about opening night, quite frankly, is that you arrive early. If you want to see the banner unveil, the first two in Jets 2.0 history here, you got to get there for warm-up. You got to be there before warm-up ends because the banner unveil will happen shortly after warm-up, and then there'll be the intro to this year, and then we'll introduce the team. So please arrive early. It's going to be awesome. We'll celebrate together. It should be just an awesome night with Mach 10. We've got 2 canned out at the door. Doors are open a half an hour early, actually, so can come early as well. Like basically come right after work, come after school. Get ready for the party. It's opening night. It's one of my favorite nights, too. We'll meet the whole team, and when it's time to introduce some of the big names, man, it's going to be special. Right? I mean, we got the Hart Trophy winner. We got a 40-goal scorer.
Well,
we got Mark Scheifele, and then we've got
Jonathan
from
James.
Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Yeah, like that will be a moment. And by the way, Rob Maloney was on with us yesterday. For that game, the President's Trophy is going to be in the house.
Correct.
The Vezina Trophy.
Correct.
The Hart Trophy.
Correct.
And the Jennings Trophy.
That is correct.
So a lot of hardware for last season. And again, this isn't like, I mean, listen, if you win the Stanley Cup, you're bringing the whole team out and it's a big thing. I mean, listen, the Winnipeg Jets will be in the room getting ready to go out and start their new campaign.
That's right.
But before that, certainly fans will be able to see the first ever division championship banner and a President's Trophy banner being unveiled. And
the trophies will all be on the concourse husk for the entire game for all the
amazing
fans. And not only will they be there for opening night, they're going to be there for the Moose game the next day, their home opener, and then the Jets game that following day starting at, that game's
12:30.
at 12:30 start.
Weird start time.
11:30 doors open. Come and see the Hart Trophy and the President's Trophy. It sounds like a great morning.
Listen, it sounds like a great day. I mean, what's better than getting down to see the squad? Yeah, opening weekend is going to be amazing. Thursday night, October 9th, Dallas. Heck of an opponent to start things off,
That's
too.
for sure.
Try and get one over on them, and a nice start in the Central Division. And, of course, tomorrow, right here, FanFest, we will be live just after Illegal Curve around 11 a.m. We'll see who we can wrangle in, and hopefully we're looking forward to seeing many of you there. And don't forget, we do have a WST allotment of tickets for the home opener. Details next week, but make sure you're signed up for the newsletter so you can get that notification as soon as they're live. Count them in and start the season off with a big win. We'll have to get you on a little later on. A couple of our nights are on some pretty cool promo nights, but as we get start to the season, we can.
We got a lot of
there's
good
a lot
promo
of love
nights.
for balls in the chat today, I must say. People are loving the return of you to the program. Isha Boy Bruce, waiters. I mean, even some fans came to see you live in person today.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the people of Winnipeg, especially from East Kildonan, where I grew up, Andrew.
Shout out to EK.
Out in full force here. Thank you very much for coming.
Hey, we'll see you tomorrow, pal. Thanks again for doing this. I know you and the
awesome
team
stuff,
have been.
Hey, am I into the marble race or not?
Yes,
Do I get
yes.
the complimentary shot?
I promised Remo that if Balls came and joined us live at the Iceplex, we would give him. So when you're putting in Hustler in all caps, we need a Balls with a Z, all caps. And good luck. So stick around. We'll see how we do.
Hey, thank you very much for having me on again, Huss. Appreciate that.
Good stuff. We'll see you tomorrow at FanFest and can't wait for that opening weekend. We are going to have Lee Hacksaw Hamilton join us coming up. Not sure if the saw is good to go. Oh, he is? Okay, perfect. Well, listen, before we do that, I do want to quickly get to fan feedback. Brought to you by Fans First, your number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the resale market. Of course, Fans First now available for Bomber games. They've been sold out all summer. If you need to buy or sell tickets once the game is sold out, that is there. And, of course, last year, if you're a season ticket holder and you needed to get rid of some couple of suits, you're talking in the mic there, buddy. If you want to get set up with seats or you need to get rid of them, go to fansfirst.ca. No added fees. What you see is what you pay. Yes, a lot of welcome to Kyle coming back on the program. MC Stormy's weekend show, absolutely. We'll be ready to go tomorrow morning right after Illegal Curve. And lots of talk about the Bomber game on the weekend. There are AJ. Listen, I like this one from AJ. People need to relax. Football is a progression. Bring in new guys and train. If players are better at the end, the coaches have done their jobs. The bottom line right now is they got to find a way to win a football game tomorrow. Expect a lot of Brady Oliveira. And here's hoping Chris Streveler can keep those turnovers under wraps and hang in that game and get a big win coming back home for a rematch with the Ticats from last week at Princess Auto Stadium on the 27th. Fan feedback, of course, brought to you by fansfirst.ca. Sorry, what? All right, we are ready to go with our friend Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. And as we do that, Remo, why don't you open up marbles registration as we're getting close to 3 p.m. Close call last night. Kind of an interesting Thursday nighter. Lots going on in the National Football League. Let's bring in the legend himself, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, as we get ready for Week 3 in the National Football League. Hacksaw, what's going on? How are you?
Hustler, great. Camps are open in the NHL. You're feeling good. I'm excited. We got a ton of other stories to talk about, too. How you doing?
Yeah, you know what? I am doing great. And speaking of camps opening, with you being down in Southern California, I'll kind of tee you up this for a double dose. Retirement announcements of 2 Los Angeles legends, Clayton Kershaw with the Dodgers and Anze Kopitar, who's still amongst the best players on the planet, announcing that this 20th season will be his last with the Los Angeles Kings.
Well, I think the Kershaw retirement was expected. You know, he's age 37, going on 38. He's fought through some enormous adversity, and yet just the competitive fires just never, ever went away. I think when you deal with players, like I've dealt with players here in the dugout, in the clubhouse, on talk radio, etc. Yeah, I mean, you get a different feel than the fan just sitting there watching him on TV or sitting on the third baseline watching him pitch. Kershaw is a spectacular individual, human being, not just on the mound and all the things he's accomplished as an 18-year veteran with the Dodgers, but what he's done from a charitable foundation standpoint. And you and I have talked about the guys in Winnipeg and what they do in the community. What he's done in Dallas-Fort Worth, where he lives, and what he's done in Los Angeles and the inner city, he's just an amazing human being. That being said, he's also got a career record of 222-96. Second most wins ever in the history of Dodger baseball. And the Dodger legacy involves guys like Fernando Valenzuela and Oral Hershiser and the legend Don Newcomb and Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale. He's right there in the upper echelon with those guys. And he's about to break Don Sutton's all-time win record if he wins tonight against the Giants. And there'll be at least another start for him before they go to postseason. So we knew it was coming. His record, though, it's the most amazing thing. He's coming off double surgery, Hustler. He's 10-2 this season. He's got a 2.90 ERA as a 38-year-old pitcher coming off double surgery. Think about that. And so he's going out. He's getting by on guile. He's lost a lot of his velocity, but he's getting by on breaking pitches and smarts and the ability to paint the plate. So huge, huge, huge individual. First time, I mean, I think first ballot Hall of Famer. So that's one guy. The Kopitar one was a little bit of a surprise, but, you know, Anze is 38. He's what a foot soldier he has been. And I don't think, in all honesty, maybe I'm wrong. You tell me, because you're living this more than I'm living it. I don't think he gets anywhere near enough across the province, across the country recognition as just being a lock, stock star who shows up every night and plays.
Oh, Lee, I'll go even further than that. I think he is and has been a real superstar in the National Hockey League for the majority of his career. Incredible still doing what he's doing as the top player on that team, pushing 38 years old. And listen, we all know about East Coast bias. The fact of the matter is he's playing in Los Angeles. A lot of these games are starting at 10 p.m. or later in half of the country. There are a ton of hockey fans that just simply don't appreciate the greatness of Kopitar because they just simply don't see him enough. But he'll go down as one of the all-time greats in Los Angeles. And I know there's a Dustin Brown statue, But I'll tell you what, if there's a guy of this entire era of the Kings that deserves one, it's he and probably Drew Doughty, who will also go down as a Kings legend.
Yeah, and he's about to break Marcel Dion, the all-time leading scorers record. He'll probably do that sometime in mid-November. He's a spectacular player and just a consummate, I call him foot soldiers. He's there every night, injury and all. Good teams, bad teams, he's there. He's responsible. He's a leader. So, but he is age 38, and I think he wants to go home. He wants to go back to Europe and enjoy life. He's not going to hang out and play till he's 50. He's not going to be Jaromir Jagr, but he's just a great player. And they're right at the finish line, and the other storyline I think we'll just talk about real briefly with the camp's opening. And I'm dealing with the teams here, the Kings and the Ducks. They're right at the finish line. They have to cross the threshold and go deep in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year because they're never going to get there again. Once Kopitar retires, they have to re-sign Adrian Kempe, etc. They got a lot of mileage, and Doughty's had some injuries, things. So it has to be now for the Kings to make this next step. And this step has been roadblocked because of Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and all the guys up north in Edmonton with the Oilers. They just had to find a way to get beyond that and go deep. And, of course, the other team here, I'm kind of privately excited about what the Anaheim Ducks have built, and it's been really painful. I mean, almost a decade without being in the playoffs, and they've done it with all their kids. They got so many number 1 and 2 draft picks that are playing, and they force-fed them, and it was bitterly bad for them to lose, and then they got better and almost made the playoffs last year. And now they're right on the brink of being a playoff team, and they go out, they add 3 guys in the offseason, for a bunch of from the New York Rangers, and I thought that's going to put them over the top. And we get to camp, and one of their leading scorers is not here. Mason McTavish left yesterday and has gone back to Ottawa because of his contract dispute about a bridge contract with Pat Verbeek. And I'm bothered by that because they're right there at the threshold, and Verbeek has worked really hard to bring in veterans to wrap around all the young kids that force-fed. And now he forces McTavish out by not getting what other guys are getting as 4th or 5th year guys on a bridge contract. And this kid scored 60 goals in 2.5 seasons. What are you doing? So there's kind of a mixed bag of emotion in Anaheim right now. And I'll tell you, the expectation with the Kings has to happen.
Lee, we don't have as much time for NFL, but just before we talk about the games on the weekend, I, of course, saw my Chiefs fall to 0-2 at Arrowhead Stadium last week, and I'm sure you were pleased with that. But I bring it up, not that I have been a big anti-tush-push guy, but this has been a topic in the league for the last couple of years, and it really seemed to be front and center on Sunday in that the Eagles ran the play 6 times. If you got on your phone afterwards, all you saw were repeated violations on the line of scrimmage that weren't called by the officials on the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, they were the better team. The Chiefs made mistakes. That's why they lost. But I couldn't help but notice while I was down in the States turning the tube on Monday morning, and every single talking head show was talking about the tush push and, saying that maybe it seemed like it had a lot more support to get out. Now, let's remember that this was voted on last year, brought up by the Packers. It needed 24 votes to be carried. It got 22. It was 22-10. I couldn't help but watch these shows and hear the discourse around it coming out of Sunday's game and think that that game on Sunday may have gotten the extra 2 votes. What do you think that what happened on Sunday and the discussions around it might mean for the future of the Eagles' killer play?
Just look and see how many illegal procedure penalties are called against the Eagles this Sunday, because there's a lot of pressure. And there's a video that's been sent to every official in the NFL. This is what you must look for on these 3rd and 4th short yardage plays when the Eagles go to this jumbo package, tush, push, brotherly shove formation. How many flags are going to be thrown? Last week might have been an exception to the rule, because I think of all the number of plays that they lined up in that formation, they looked like they were offside 3 or 4 times. I mean, helmets in the neutral zone. So what they have to do is they have to enforce a freaking neutral zone, that there's got to be space between the guy snapping the ball and the defensive lineman, and no offensive lineman can have his helmet into that neutral zone ahead of the ball. On top of that, guys were firing off a split second early. So It's got to be resolved that way. So keep an eye on how many flags are thrown. The other thing, and this is the bigger issue to me, you got a pile of humanity. You get somebody that gets bent in a bad angle and is buried under 1,000 or 1,300 pounds of linemen above him and breaks his neck. Bill Cowher said this morning, this is an accident. This is a tragedy waiting to happen. Why the hell are we, the NFL, allowing this dangerous play to exist? It's a rugby play, and it used to be called a scrum. And they got rid of the scrum because it was so dangerous in rugby. Should the NFL ban it? Pushing forward is a way to alleviate it. If you want to have my lineman block on your lineman, okay, but you can't push humanity forward and push guys into the pile. So I hold my breath because there's a lot of guys that get hit and get chopped down and go to the bottom of the pile. And what if they're bent at a bad angle and 1,300 pounds of guys fall over them and they're bent at a bad angle? I mean, I think we're entering a really dangerous zone. So the league has done such a fierce job about changing the rules, protecting defenseless players. They need to do something about this. It's not to penalize the Eagles who polished it. It's just to make sure something catastrophic does not happen to somebody.
Hey, Lee, obviously there's some great games on the docket. Chargers, Denver, big matchup at the top of the AFC West. You got Rams, Eagles. I can't wait for that one. Great Monday nighter, Lions, Ravens. And we've talked about that. We'll get to those in the picks coming up in just a minute. But before we go, I had to ask you one other burning topic in the National Football League, and that involves Tom Brady. He's calling games, and then he is in the booth on a headset during Raider games. He's got unique access that nobody else in the National Football League does. How is this going over around the league right now in the aftermath of Monday night?
Well, your buddies on Talking Head TV are just going crazy. They're losing their mind. I don't think it's a big thing because he's not allowed to the practice facilities. He's not allowed to be on the sidelines with the other TV network guys when they have their private sessions on Thursday and Friday. He's not allowed to sit in the conference rooms with the coaches or talk to the players. Anything he does has to be via Zoom. He doesn't have access to inside information. So I think it's, as Shakespeare would say, much ado about nothing, because the only information he's ferreting, and he's addicted to look at video, he's looking at the same video that Pete Carroll, the Raiders coach, is looking at, and he can only give him his assessment of the video he's looking at. I think it's talking head BS more than it is anything. And I just don't think a lot of these guys deal in coach speak. A lot of these guys are not going to reveal a hell of a lot of stuff to Brady now that he's in the inner sanctum as a minority owner with the Raiders. So is he put in a bad place? No, he's got a great job. He's got a great gig. Is he doing anything illegal? No. The league says he has a right to be on a headset like the Indianapolis Colts, the sister of the late Jim Irsay is on a headset on the sideline. So it's no different there. But he doesn't have access and insight like all the other broadcasters do. And the coaches, a lot of coaches, close mouth, coach speak, especially with him. So that's where it is now. I don't think there's any inside information. And Raiders got so many problems right now because they were so exposed and so destroyed by the Chargers that Brady's got to spend time with Pete Carroll helping the roster that Pete Carroll's got to deal with.
Saw great stuff as always. We've got pennant races in baseball with the playoffs just around the corner. Hockey kicking off. The National Football League in full force. Straight up salary cap scandal that's exploding in LA in the NBA. I know it's all going to be covered, but tee people up on you might need 20 minutes for the best 15 minutes at LeeHacksawHamilton.com this weekend.
Well, thank you for the invite. On my website, I write every day. Just go to it, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Have to read my one man's opinion column. I just wrote about the scandal in LA and the NBA, and this is really deep and this is really bad. I write a column every day. Hey, the Winnipeg Free Press ought to hire me to do some freelance stuff. But so that's there. And of course, when you're done telling everybody everything north of the border, I have my podcast. Just go to my YouTube channel. You'll be fascinated with the cross section of stuff that we talk about. And I do talk a lot of puck this side of the border too. So that's just go to YouTube, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton.
So have a great weekend. Thanks for doing this. We'll catch up next week.
Brother, 1919 to you. Enjoy being there ice side. Talk to you again, man.
Good stuff. There is the Saw himself. All right, last call for marbles. Get those entries in, ! Marbles, if you haven't already. This is your last call, Remo. If you want to wrap that up and get ready for marbles while I head over to the Cool Bet lines. Let's first look at the Canadian Football League. We got a doubleheader tonight. Remo's favorite, the late game on the West Coast. But first up, it's Toronto and Montreal. The Argos are 7-point home dogs in this game. Listen, I know MBT looked good, and I still can't believe they put up almost a 50-burger in Regina on the Riders. To me, this just seems like a lot of points. I had a feeling the Argos are going to find a way, even without Arbuckle and Chad Kelly, to hang around in this one. And then tonight, it's finally the revenge game we've waited for. Vernon Adams, traded by the Lions to the Calgary Stampeders. Adams and Rourke tonight. Calgary are 5-point favorites at home against the BC Lions. The Bombers, 2.5-point dogs tomorrow. Chris Strevler will lead the team in to take on the returning Drew Brown and the Ottawa Redblacks. Ottawa, 2.5-point home favorite tomorrow. And then the finale from the Hammer, Edmonton and Hamilton. Elks, 5.5-point dogs to the Tiger Cats in tomorrow's final game of the week in the Canadian Football League. If you're wondering, if you're still holding on to hope, we haven't seen a number on the Bombers to win the Grey Cup like this in 5 years. 20-1 now. So jump on it if you're still one of the faithful. Lines up over at CoolBet. Just going to get to the NFL lines. Do not forget, if you haven't and you want all of our picks for the weekend, up right now on the YouTube channel, this morning's edition of WST Winners with myself, Jake, and Pat. All of our favorite against the spread picks, prop bets, touchdown score, and we'll get to a couple of the parlays that we did cook up. And Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the 24th, the next edition of the WST Poker Series. We're doing Wednesday nights now. Moving forward, September 24th is the first one of the new season. We're going to be giving away some tickets as well, just raffle to everybody that is in the tournament. And, of course, we'll have some great prizes as well. So Wednesday, 8 p.m., mark it down, Poker with WST. We'll have more details. We'll send that information out on the newsletter as well on that. We've got a landing page to join us, but mark it down Wednesday, 8 p.m. All right, NFL. Wild one last night with the Bills not covering against the Miami Dolphins. Just going to hit a couple of the feature games this weekend. We thought it was going to be Burrow and McCarthy. It's now the Wentz wagon and Jake Browning. Minnesota 3-point home favorites against the Bengals in a battle of backups. To me, the game I think I'm most looking forward to seeing on Sunday, Rams at Eagles. Philly, 3.5-point favorites in that one. We've also got a big matchup that Lee mentioned, the Broncos and Chargers. LA, 2.5-point favorites to stay undefeated at the top of the division. Dallas Cowboys and Bears going at it in Chicago. Dallas opened up as an underdog. They're now a 1-point favorite. You got the Cardinals and the Niners. Niners now 3-point favorites. We got on that earlier at 2.5. And the Chiefs 6-point favorites against the Giants. Monday nighter, heck of a matchup. Lions and Ravens. Right now the Ravens are -4.5. But coming out of WST Winners, we cooked up a number of WST Winners parlays for you, putting together some of our favorite picks from myself, Pat, and Jake. We do have a public survivor pick parlay, and this is just money line. But Green Bay, Tampa, Seattle, Chiefs, and Ravens, they got a nice boost on that one up to +322. We also have our WST Winners parlay. Jake's pick, Houston, +1.5. Patty and I are both on Dallas to win. And we had to take care of producer Connor and make sure the Niners were represented. Although they are going up against cornerbacks that I think were like legitimately driving Ubers earlier this week. They're down like potentially their top 5 guys. That one's got a nice boost up to +633. We all picked a touchdown scorer for the weekend. We got Jordan Mason going in for the Vikings, Jonathan Taylor going in for the Colts, and Tony Pollard going in for the Titans. That's boosted up to +467. And we've also got the Survivor Sweat. Packers to win, Bucks to win, Seahawks to win. 3 big favorites. Boosted that up to +118. It's all waiting for you over at CoolBet. If you haven't played there before, use the promo code WST when you're making your first deposit. for a 100% bonus up to $200. And of course, you can join us on Wednesday for our poker tourney online at CoolBet. Check out the poker. You just click on poker, download it, and we'll give you details on where you can find our tournament and join us on Wednesday. All right. It is about that time. Connor's popped in. Remis is here. And we're ready to do some marbles. Connor, what's going on?
How's it going?
Good. We'll
Another big day today. Produced WC winners this morning. Great episode.
Great job on that, by the way.
Yeah, I love the Niners propaganda. You guys handled it for me.
I'm in on the Niners propaganda this
I didn't
week.
have to jump in and put that in the show. You guys did it for me. So, yeah, it's another great day here at Hockey for All. It's busier today. Obviously, Friday. Maybe some people have it off. Or I know my little brother doesn't have school today for some reason. So, maybe some kids don't have school. They're popping by.
It.
And, tomorrow's going to be insane. I can't wait.
Okay, here's the question, just while Remis gets this ready. Who is screwing up this ticket? This is just teams to win. Green Bay over Cleveland. Tampa over the Jets. Seattle over the Saints. Chiefs over the Giants. Ravens over the Lions.
I'd say maybe the Ravens and the Lions. The Lions put up 52 points against Chicago last week. I could see them, coming in hot offensively, lighting up the Ravens, who got lit up by the Bills in week 1. I know they just came back and had a good performance in week 2 against Joe Flacco and the Browns, but I think the Ravens there. I don't know about the Chiefs and covering 6 points against the New York Giants. I know that this parlay is just money line, so you're not really worried about the spread there. But the Giants are also 0-2. It's their home opener. They're going to be firing on all cylinders. Russell Wilson, how much do you believe in him? I don't think that the Giants win that game, but I think a 6-point spread. I don't even know.
I'm not touching that spread.
I know. I don't know if the Chiefs have that club in their bag right now to beat a team by 7 on the road.
They'll be happy to get to 1-2 and then start preparing for the Ravens.
That's why I think both of those teams are going to want to grind out like a 17-13 win, and I do think the Chiefs are the team that wins it, but I just don't know if they have the club in their bag to win by a touchdown. But to answer your question, I think it's the Ravens.
Hey, what were your takeaways from last night from the Bills and the Dolphins? I mean, I'm sorry. I just thought the Bills got a little complacent in the third quarter, and the offense wasn't doing much. But, I mean, credit to the Dolphins. They didn't quit. They tied the game and should have been getting the ball back. If you expect to beat the Buffalo Bills on the road, you cannot make critical errors like the roughing the punter play that just absolutely killed them. I honestly think if they get that ball back, everything was on the line, including blowing up my Survivor season because I did have the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, we were sitting here yesterday at this time saying, who on earth would take the Dolphins plus 12 or plus 11.5, and they ended up actually covering that spread. And when you look at the game, the roughing the punter completely changed it. I 100% agree. I was shocked that the Bills didn't blow them out early, but you could tell from the first drive when Miami went down, marched down the field, and made it 7-0 that it wasn't going to be a blowout. It wasn't, Miami wasn't just going to roll over in that game. I think Mike McDaniel, even though they lost, did a lot to cool his seats.
Yeah, oh yeah.
To be 0-3 and to lose on Thursday Night Football by 10 and have your seat cool off is a really interesting spot to be in for Mike McDaniel, but I actually think that's what happened. The Dolphins, they're a team that they have so much talent. Can they put it together? Their season's slipping away from them pretty quickly.
All right. Well, listen, we'll have lots more on the week in the NFL on Monday. Tomorrow's all about the Jets here at FanFest. We'll have a show at 11 a.m. after Illegal Curve with the three of us, hopefully Liz and whoever else wants to jump on while we're here. But listen, it is marbles time. We will not make you wait any longer, but we can't do marbles without the dulcet tones of the one and only Tristan Rivers music to get us ready to go. All right. Three-headed monster for marbles here, live from the Hockey for All Center before tomorrow's FanFest. Michael Remis, how many marbles are in today's action?
Yeah, we got like 220.
Is that over now?
The women's. So someone was asking in chat about the women's rugby. Tico and Apolli. I talked with Emily Tutosi of Team Canada from Surrey, Manitoba earlier this week. And I think this is final.
Yeah, full time, baby. Canada going to the championship game, beating New Zealand 34-19. How about that?
So the finals tomorrow. It's quick turnaround. I know it's on TSN. I should check the time. 9. I don't know if it says the time. I think they play the winner of England and France. Is that accurate?
Semi-final. Yeah, the winner of England and France.
I got to double check the schedule.
Although the France game is tomorrow at 9:30.
Oh.
So I imagine the final will be maybe on Sunday?
I thought it was tomorrow. I got to double check this.
Pull it out. But anyways, congratulations to Emily. You had her on again?
Yeah, she came on early this week. Saturday. Next Saturday. The 27th.
Oh wow! Okay, so they'll have
like a week off.
Yeah, the thought of playing that's like playing the AFC Championship game on Friday and then playing the next game.
They get a week off to prepare for. That's crazy.
It's like the Super Bowl, man.
We're gonna be a women's rugby show next week, getting ready for it. But anyways, congratulations to Canada. That is amazing news. And of course, Emily Tutosi, who's now been on with us a couple times from overseas, leading the way with Canada, a 15-point win over the New Zealand, the Kiwis, a rugby nation if there ever was one, Connor.
And now Canada is a rugby nation if there ever
right.
Yeah, look at that.
Well, you know what? And she did tell us the first time she came on, they were the number 2 ranked team. So they've got there, and now they'll have a chance to spoil the party for either the French or the English 1 week from today.
1 week tomorrow, tomorrow. I guess.
Tomorrow. Excuse me. Yes, the 27th.
Yes,
is the date of the final. All right, where are we going today for the race?
1 sec. I was just gonna do slippery slopes. Is that fine? We haven't done it for a while.
Sure. Slippery slopes is always a fun one.
I just need a quick one. Where's slippery slopes? I'll bring it up here. There it is. When we have a lot of marbles, I think there's 230 or something. So we have a lot in there.
Beautiful.
Dealing.
This is good. I get to see. This is the one time I actually get to see what goes into doing the marble race in front of me, which is why I try to.
He's just a master at work.
Well, it is. He's the maestro of the marbles.
I don't remember where I saved it.
Starting with the funny chat. Rugby and hammer toss. Who would have thought? These are our things. Donnie Boy's fired up. Go Canada and women's rugby. Winnipeg sports fan. England is the number 1 ranked team. And yes, Phyllis mentioned, we had double gold in hammer toss in the Olympics. So great stuff. The did. Oh, Remo may be unaware. We did do the slippery slopes when he was off. That's okay. It's a good track. It's a tried and true. I think we did that one with
Adam.
Yeah, when he was doing.
Well, I was gonna do I don't know what to pick then. I don't know any other tracks.
Yeah, you've only been doing this every Friday for 4 years. How could you possibly know?
You know what? There's not any others.
Should I just do Coils of Power? Is that a good one?
Yeah, Coils of Power, actually. We haven't done that one in a long time.
That's a quick one. Should we do this one?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll do this one, sure. We have 221.
You got the names?
Yeah, I got the names.
Perfect.
They're all in there. Yeah. 221 of them, that is correct.
Good luck to everybody that's in there. Winner, we hopefully will have sizes for you for a WST hoodie for our winner. Shout out to our friends at Shipman Associates for their great support of WST and the Marbles mission on the show. 221. I'm in. Ball is in. His debut in the marble race. And everyone that is obviously entered. We're going Coils of Power today. First time we've done this one in a while. Remis, let's get this thing started and see who's coming into the hopper first as Friday's Marbles champion here on WST.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, yeah, I like the noise of the coils of power. They've got that sort of the din of the electricity. The one great thing is I can actually read all of the names at the top. Sometimes when it comes in through our screen, it's difficult to see. But massive, massive pack early on coming in. We got, there's Max, Winnipeg Jets Forever. What's going on? He's on one side. Jeremy Nickerson. I see Lulam there. C. Jury. Benjamin Gann. Jeremy Nickerson seems to be in front on the bottom side, but C. Love and C. Lamb with a nice, let's see, there's a couple different spots. 22 Canuck who got bounced. Oh, Hustler out, man. That's back-to-back weeks I've been eliminated, like very, very early. The Dream, Jamie Stevenson, also. The Dream is over for the Dream. Tough one on that. All right, we're getting, Todd Fertani and Scott Westman. Westman was kicking around here. Sure, he'll be here there tomorrow. Moose 33 looks like he's in, and Jesse 33, couple 33s, Buff fans, I would imagine, that are there. C. Jury, though, is kind of extended out a little bit. I think C. Jury looks like they're in the right spot. Can they make it through into the drop first? Moose 3 is trying to get on from the other side, but C. Jury is the winner just ahead of Moose 3. It's an interesting one because you can get into the hopper from two different ways.
Oh, yeah, they're coming from this way, too.
Most of them are coming in. C. Jury, though, took the right route and ended up with the win. Your top 10 before we roll through and see how everybody did. C. Jury, our winner. By the way, send us an email, winnipegsportstalk@gmail.com. C. Jury with your contact info. Let us know what size you are, and I'll holler at you next week and come by and pick it up. Moose 3, a close second. Cruiser 24. Trevor Red Ranger, who probably all-time might have the most top finishes. I think he's the other 3-time winner along with Amanda, but has often ended up very high. Mike Irv at 5, Daryl Selly at 6, Jerry Beluda. What's up, Jerry? He's at 7, Halopia at 8, and Reem, let's just see the results. The rest of the top 10, Darcy Marchuk and Comet going 9 and 10. There's Jet Oil Tom, nicely done. Jesse 33, Running Man. Waiters, pretty nicely done. There's Les Thompson. Les, what's up? Les, tickets for the home opener and the WST pack. We'll have him next week. There's Dr. Terry. Nicely done from St. Vital Dental Center. There's Eagle Eyes. We got the Herbster. There's Phyllis, Royster. Jeff Montgomery, former NHLer. There's Roscoe. What's up, Ross? Tyson Ducharme. Bridget. And then Jeff Johnson and everyone else. I think balls might have also been Schnitzy over the top rope. Myself, Amanda, Krugs.
Balls in here?
Hustler. I don't know where I saw.
Balls with the Z?
Yeah, earlier, keep going up a little bit.
Oh, there it is. Balls with the Z.
Oh, he finished.
126.
126. So I'm one afterwards today.
Yeah.
Really fun show today. There's nothing like doing the shows live, nothing like doing them together. Hopefully we can do this a lot more coming up in the future. But big news today. We've locked in. We've got home opener tickets. You'll be able to get those next week with our WST group. We finished up the rest. And now tomorrow, Connor, we get ready for an early morning and get a chance to welcome a ton of Winnipeg Jet fans for one of the most fun days of the year to kick it all off.
Oh, I can't wait. FanFest, always one of the best days of the year. I'll be checking out the deals on the other side as well. You have made people well aware. You found that Sandberg jersey at a good price, so I'll be looking at that. And then we got a Bomber game tomorrow too, which I know you chopped up with Jeff Hamilton, so that's going to be good. I mean, we'll see if the Bombers and Chris Strevler can figure things out and not turn the ball over. And if they don't turn the ball over, I feel good about their chances, but that's a big if.
Yeah, we'll be here early. IC will be on at 9. We'll jump on with a little impromptu Saturday edition from FanFest at 11. So if you're not at FanFest, check that out. If you are, pop by and say hi to see the gang live. And then, we'll probably wrap up just before 2. And then, as I said earlier, I think it might be time to get straight to BP and watch the Bombers hopefully make things happen against the Ottawa Redblacks. Steve-O tonight. if you're looking for something to do, the Burt Steve O. I will say, and I'll just throw this out, not for sure, we may have an extra pair of tickets for that. So if you are off tonight and you're hoping to potentially go to Steve O, fire me a DM at Hustlerama, and we'll get clarity on whether we have an extra pair in the next little bit, and I will send them to someone. If you're sending me about that, let me know what email in the DM. Put your email as well so we can fire you out the tickets, and just check a little later on for that. That is going to do it for us. Great stuff with the guests today. Thanks to Rennie, Murat, Hammer, Balls, Hacksaw. A lot of nicknames. I'm a big nickname guy. You can see what their real names are somewhere else. But it's going to be great. Tomorrow, Connor, myself, Remo, Liz, we'll all be here. And again, we'll be live just after 11 a.m. post illegal curve. And we'll see what Ezzy and Drew, maybe they'll come on. We can do some hot takes, WST and illegal curve, a pick-off, prediction off tomorrow or something like that. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. Great times here the last couple days. We'll be over in one of the rinks, so come and join us tomorrow. And, of course, Monday, we'll be back at it. Big week next week on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Obviously, we'll have continued coverage of training camp. We've got preseason games starting Sunday, which is crazy. We'll have some extra WST winners content, Ryder Cup, NFL, and we'll get working. And very soon, we're going to be having some special NHL Futures shows as well with myself and the Cool Bet guys, as well as myself, Connor, and Michael Remis. So more and more stuff coming to the WST channel as we get into the season. That is going to do it for us. Thanks to all of our guests. Thanks to all of you for being a part of today with us. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow at FanFest or online for the special show at 11. And if not, Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. And thanks for being with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Oh, my God. Oh! Shut it down. Let's go home.
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at Winnipeg Sports Talk